Welcome to ESPN's presentation of Capital One Bowl Week.
Geographically speaking, it's hard to imagine a better reward at the end of a long season than a trip to the Sheraton Hawaii Bowl. From Waikiki Beach to a midweek luau, the players from Boise State and East Carolina have enjoyed the islands. Now it's time to take the heart rate back up, get ready to play at a place where wind chill doesn't apply. Not a bad view, huh? We welcome you to the Sheraton Hawaii Bowl, all part of Capital One Bowl Week. 10-2 Boise State taking on 7-5 East Carolina from Aloha Stadium here in sunny, warm Honolulu. And hi everybody, Terry Gannon along with David Norrie. Janine Edwards down on the field in just a bit. Take you back a year to the last bowl game that Boise State played in. What a dramatic game. The win over Oklahoma in overtime, one of the greatest bowl wins ever. You got the hook and lateral. You've got the Statue of Liberty halfback pass, and this is an offense that's continued to rack up big numbers.
Well, if you can believe it, they're averaging more points this year than they did a year ago in their perfect season, a 13-0 season. And I think this offense is one of the most exciting offenses, Terry, that we'll see in all of the bowl season. They continue to play well at quarterback. Taylor Tharp getting his first year as a starter, a fifth-year senior. They have not missed a beat at the quarterback position. They've got the All-American Ian Johnson, a great backup, and Jeremy Avery at running back. And of course, you've got to look out for the specialty plays, the trick plays, both offensively and in the special teams. But I'm really looking forward to watching Boise State this afternoon.
Ian Johnson a bit banged up. We'll check on his status in just a moment. But on the other side, ECU, a murderous schedule, the first 4 games. And Skip Holtz has really turned this program around now. Here they are, their second straight bowl game. They've got a runner in the backfield, Chris Johnson, who's put up big numbers, and they strike quickly.
Yeah, Chris Johnson is one of the fastest athletes in college football. They line him up in the backfield, 1,200 yards on the season, but they also like to get the ball to him in the pass game outside. And I think East Carolina, even though you don't want to get caught up in a scoring matchup with Boise State, I think they're going to have to win a shootout today. And for East Carolina to have a chance to win, they're going to have to get athletes like Chris Johnson out in space and take advantage of their athleticism in the open field.
We may see a few points on the board today.
I think we'll see a few, Terry, to be sure.
Boise State played their last regular season game right here in Aloha Stadium. They take on East Carolina in a moment.
Aloha and welcome to the 2007 Sheraton Hawaii Bowl. On behalf of Starwood Hotels and Resorts and the Sheraton brand, as well as our hotel owners, Kioya Company, we are proud again to be the title sponsor of the Sheraton Hawaii Bowl. We are honored to welcome the Boise State Broncos and the East Carolina Pirates, their fans and boosters to the Hawaiian Islands. We wish both teams good fortune and hope all of you can sit back, relax, and enjoy what promises to be a very exciting game. Mahalo for joining us today. We are proud to share the warmth and aloha of this paradise we call home, and hope a visit from you to Hawaii will be in your future travel plans. We wish you the happiest of holidays, and as we say in Hawaii, mele kalikimaka.
This game is being broadcast on ESPN HD, presented by Pioneer Kuro HD TV. Sunny skies here as we are about set for kickoff. East Carolina taking on Boise State. And as I mentioned, Ian Johnson, he nicked his ankle earlier this week in practice and has not practiced throughout the week. At the walkthrough yesterday, he was just on the sideline, so he's a game-time decision. We'll probably see him, but I'm not sure how much. And as we send it down to Janine Edwards, it certainly plays into the confidence offensively for Boise State, Janine.
Oh, Terry, without a doubt it does. You know, in ESPN's Bowl Mania Challenge, 98% of the voters picked Boise State to win their bowl game. How is that for confidence in the Broncos? But does the Bronco quarterback Taylor Tharp share that assurance? Tharp has been dogged by confidence issues, but only this season, thanks to the bond that he developed with receiver Jeremy Childs, did Tharp find that esteem and that poise. So when he found out that Childs was not making the trip, he said he was devastated. He said it felt like a part of him was going to be missing out here. Now, when you add that to the fact that their go-to running back, Ian Johnson, may see limited action today, you could say that Ian Tharp will be without 2 of his most calming influences on the field. So the faith that America has in the Broncos could be hinging today on the faith that Taylor Tharp has in himself. Terry?
Nice to have America's confidence, but that lasts up until the kick. And then it doesn't matter when you play football. ECU won the toss, deferred to the second half. So Ben Hartman will get things underway as Austin Smith and Jeremy Avery, the speedster, are back deep.
Well, Janine Edwards talks about America's confidence after that Fiesta Bowl win a year ago, Boise State over Oklahoma. Everybody was talking about Boise State being America's team at the college level, and that win a year ago, probably the most exciting game that I've ever seen, Terry. Certainly a bowl game, from a bowl game perspective, and I think a lot of people outside of the Boise State community are still riding the enthusiasm and the excitement of that win.
The national championship game that did not go down to the wire. A lot of people's memories really resting on that game from the bowl season last year. Smith inside his own 5, going to bring it back for the Broncos. Bounces off a 1 and then another. And out across the 25 to the 26, and that's where Boise State will start their first offensive series. 10-2 on the year, 7-1 in the WAC, and they came down to that last game, which was held right here at Aloha Stadium, and were beaten by Hawaii, who obviously they've had a terrific season. Will be going to the Sugar Bowl to take on Georgia. The numbers on Taylor Tharp in his first year as the starter. In fact, the first Bronco at quarterback to ever get his first start as a senior. Second team all WAC and over 3,000 yards in the air. And Ian Johnson not in on the first play from scrimmage. Jeremy Avery in the backfield. Out of the gun. There is Avery with the catch across the 25, right at the line of scrimmage, wrapped up and drilled out of bounds. So Johnson not in there. It's Jeremy Avery, the redshirt freshman from Bellflower, California.
And coming into this football game, obviously East Carolina, the unknown quantity, and defensively they hang their hat on the front 7. A talented front 7, a front 4 that's gotten bigger and more talented. And East Carolina is going to have to take care of this Boise State run game without getting the safeties involved too much up on the line of scrimmage. Boise State very capable of hurting you in the pass game down the field.
DJ Harper, a true freshman, now in, gets the carry on second down, and Vinny Peretta brings you the starting lineups presented by Yellow Book.
Aloha and happy holidays. Here are tonight's offensive starters for the Boise State Broncos. At quarterback, you got senior gunslinger Taylor Tharp, and at tight end, you got senior offensive captain Ryan Putnam. Up front, we got the unsung heroes, who are led by left tackle All-American Ryan Clady and center 4-year starter Jeff Cavender.
And Vinny, the wide receiver, big part of that win last year in the Tostitos Fiesta Bowl, out with the shoulder injury. We thank him for doing starting lineups today. He'd rather be out there on the field. But here on 3rd and 8, Tharp tucks it, runs across the 30. He's going to be shy of a first down. So that'll bring up 4th. Good defensive set in the first series for the Pirates. Quentin Cotton on the hit.
C.J. Wilson getting some pressure early on against the All-American left tackle Ryan Clady.
Skip Holtz in his 3rd year, 19-17 overall. They were 3-20, David, prior to his arrival. Now he's had back-to-back winning seasons and back-to-back bowl games.
And he talked about last year in the bowl game against South Florida, his team relaxed. They were just happy to be there, and Skip Holtz assured us yesterday that wasn't the case coming in against Boise State.
Little rugby-style punt from Kyle Broxman, and it's going to roll down to the 32. It looked like it may have hit initially an ECU player. No indication there, though. 36-yard punt and no return.
I think it hit a Boise State
hit a Boise State player. So that's going to actually be a shorter punt and bring it out across the 40.
Illegal touching. Kicking team, the ball will be placed at the 43-yard line. First down, East Carolina.
Terry Layden and the crew here working the game this afternoon at Aloha Stadium. Take a look.
Yeah, it's interesting here. Illegal touching. Very clearly, ball did not hit an East Carolina Pirate. East Carolina having the ability to take that ball where it initially made contact with the Boise State cover man.
And they do use the 2-quarterback offense. It is Patrick Pinckney who gets the start, the junior from Fayetteville, North Carolina. We'll see him. We'll also see Rob Cass, the sophomore from Longwood, Florida, quite a bit. It was Pinckney who started the season after Cass was suspended and did not play the first 3 games. Chris Johnson on the carry, straight ahead. Pinckney brings us the starting lineups, presented by Yellow Book.
Aloha. At the running back, we got the All-American Chris Fly Guy Johnson. At the wideout, we got Jamar Playmaker Bryant. And on the offensive line, we got at the right guard Dougie Fresh, and at the left guard we got Mr. Red himself, Matt Butler.
I get it. Red Butler, you get it? Yeah. Always nice to do the starting lineups from Waikiki Beach. 2nd and 5 out of the gun. They go to Johnson again. Spins his way for a first down to the 44 of Boise State. Chris Johnson, the senior from Orlando, Florida, #1 in the nation in all-purpose yards per game. 213 of those every contest. And this is a guy, David, who went for 301 yards against Memphis earlier this year.
During the offseason, put on some pounds. He was a skill athlete. East Carolina really wasn't sure whether they wanted to line him up. Were they going to play him at wide receiver? Were they going to play him in the slot? But he's found a home at the running back position, and he's found some physical ability to finish off runs.
He added strength and pounds in the offseason, really helped him this year. Stacked up right at the line of scrimmage. Vinny Peretta brings you the lineup again, presented by Yellow Book.
Here are tonight's defensive starters for the Boise State Broncos. The defensive line is headed by senior captain Nick Schleckaway. The linebacking core is headed by linebacker and my roommate Kyle Cage Ging. The defensive secondary is led by Marty Tadman and Kyle Wilson, both all WAC conference players.
Yeah, Marty Tadman, one of the best, too. Simply, you talk to the coaches, they say simply the best football player we have. So it brings up 2nd and 9. And out of the shotgun, Pinckney, who can run it. And this one's blown dead before they get it off.
False start. Number 68 of the offense, 5-yard penalty. 2nd down.
Nice job in intros by Vinny Peretta. Really unfortunate for the Boise State Broncos. Vinny Peretta going down in that 4th game with the shoulder. Of course, Peretta played a large role in that Oklahoma win, the Fiesta Bowl a year ago, on the direct snap and the pass on 4th down to create the opportunity for Ian Johnson to score on the Statue of Liberty on the 2-point try.
You never quite know what Chris Peterson's going to give you offensively. Pinckney to right. Big hole. Inside the 35, he's got a first down to the 27 of Boise State. Ian Smart, defensive tackle, finally ran him down after a gain of 21.
Well, it was an interesting development. Pinckney getting the start. Usually Rob Cass, the big drop back passer, gets the start, and we see Pinckney either in the 2nd or 3rd possession. But I have a feeling Skip Holtz broke down this Boise State defense on tape and wanted to get some athleticism and get some athletes one-on-one out in the open field with Boise State. This is a very good defense, but a defense that is not incredibly talented when it comes to athleticism.
1st and 10 from the 27. Johnson finds a hole. He's patient. Gains maybe 2 or 3. That's it before Nick Schleckaway along with Sione Tavake stopped him. Chris Peterson, 23-2. That's all he's done. The 42-year-old who played at UC Davis, was a quarterback, and 15-1 against WAC opponents. That's where they've really, it's been their bread and butter the last 5 or 6 seasons.
Well, they've dominated the WAC over the last 6 years, and you know, it really strikes me, Chris Peterson, the first coach since the 1900 to go 13-0 in his first season. Pretty impressive.
Jason Alter, the tight end, in at fullback, just ahead of Johnson, who looks for a block, skips out to the 21. Marty Tadman, the senior from California, and a first-team All-WAC performer on the hit.
Yeah, they talk about Tadman. He gets people lined up. Very heady player. He's not a big safety. He's not very speedy, but he's a very smooth athlete and sneaky in the way that he can break on balls in the pass game. Also very good coming up and supporting against the run.
Dominique Lindsay, the junior from Charlotte, in at tailback. The fake to him. Pinckney keeps it and well shy of a first down. So that brings up 4th at the 19. Kyle Ging, the junior from Phoenix, on the stop. It's Ging and Tim Brady, the outside linebackers for Boise State, really having a better year than most expected. Brady, the junior from Boise, a former quarterback and former walk-on, and then Dallas Dobbs. No one really expected a whole lot from him. And a defense that's better than you would expect, with the offense getting all the attention. 36 yards. And it's good. Hartman. Now 12 of 21 on the year. So Skip Holt says, yep, we're on the board early. And the lady feels good around my neck so far. 3-0 East Carolina, who came all the way from Greenville, North Carolina, well over 4,000 miles to make the trip here to the Sheridan Hawaii Bowl. Boise State set to receive the kick. 36-yarder by Ben Hartman, the first points on the board. The former walk-on who has set an ECU record for consecutive points after, 54 straight. So 8:22 left here in the first. Gorgeous day here in Honolulu, although that's a bit redundant. It's like 80 degrees and sunny. A little shower throughout the afternoon every day just to make you realize you're not, well, you are mortal and you're still on Earth.
Not a bad assignment to pick up this game. Calling a game from paradise.
Now, how do we weasel our way into this?
I thought you negotiated this one.
Austin Smith, he's got a hold. Still up, he may go. See ya. Just like that. 89 yards for Austin Smith, the senior from San Bernardino.
Well, in their 6-year dominance of the WAC, Boise State's made a living on big plays in the special teams. Austin Smith just hits it, splits it, and all the way for 6. Made it look easy.
And the only guy who's got any real experience returning punts or kicks today because of some injuries. Kyle Bronzman on for the extra point. Down, up, and good. And in the blink of an eye, it's 7-3. Watch it again and enjoy. 89 yards to pay dirt.
Hawaii's best locations, best beaches, and best deals. Visit starwoodhotels.com/Hawaii for the best online rates guaranteed, or call your travel agent.
ESPN College Football, the Sheridan Hawaii Bowl.
The longest postseason kick return in the history of Boise State. 89 yards to the end zone for Austin Smith. And we said there may be a few points put on the board this afternoon by both teams. That was after the 8-play drive by ECU that took 4 minutes and 22 seconds off the clock. And they're usually the ones who strike within about a minute. So it's 7-3, Boise State. And ECU, which is in its second straight bowl game, facing a team that has gone for the last 6 seasons. Chris Johnson, the all-everything running back, looks for a hole, upended out at the 25-yard line. So that's where ECU will start the next series. Return of 12 yards. Take another look at the 89-yarder, though.
Well, when you're covering kicks, you talk about staying in your lanes. Freeze it right there. Look at this grouping of Pirates. And then you create a big chasm in the middle of the field. East Carolina not very disciplined, staying in their lanes. And Smith takes advantage.
So it's 1st and 10, ECU from the 25. And Pinckney still in at quarterback. We've yet to see Rob Cass here on the second series. Johnson bounces out, looks for a hole. There's a face mask as he's brought down at the 24. Happened quickly, it looked, but looked like he did get a part of the face mask. Marty Tadman was there first. So we'll sort this out and get the word from Terry Layden.
Personal foul. Grasping the face mask. Number 97 defense, 15-yard penalty. Automatic first down.
All right, so it is an automatic first down. Nick Schleckaway, the man who got his hand in. So the 2-quarterback system, which Skip Holt said, it kind of came about. It wasn't by design initially, but because Cass was suspended in the early part of the season, Pinckney played so well in the early part of the season, it developed, and he's comfortable with it.
Pinckney played so well, taking over in the opener against Virginia Tech, and then the second week throwing for 400 yards against North Carolina. Skip Holtz was forced to give Pinckney quality time.
1st and 10 from the 40. Pinckney looks for room. He can run, but gains a yard, and that's it before Mike T. Williams took him down there. Take a look at tonight's TD Ameritrade X Factor.
And really the question, can Ian Johnson get his normal load? Tweaked his ankle in the first practice over at the islands, the island of Oahu. Boise State Broncos arriving earlier this week. And we talked in the open, Terry, about Jeremy Avery, a number 2 back that's going to be a real star in the future for Boise State, and he is very capable of picking up slack.
You talk to some people around the league, and they say he may be as dangerous, maybe more dangerous than Johnson right now. Pinckney on the run under pressure and throws it out of bounds. Mike T. Williams was in there along with Philip Edwards. Hey, reminder, Monday Night Football on ESPN comes your way. AFC West, Jay Cutler and the Broncos taking on division rival San Diego, 8 o'clock Eastern time, and little Miley Cyrus action. Hannah Montana, best of both worlds. She's going to be part of the show, David Norrie, and I know you are a big Miley Cyrus fan. Did you catch her at the Staples Center?
I didn't catch her at Staples, but time to time I like to see what's going on with the younger set.
Don't lie to me now. You have no kids. I do, and so I know everything about.
My wife reads a lot of those magazines. She stays up with the celebrity watch.
3rd and 9. Pinckney throws the quick out. It's dropped a little bit low. TJ Lee was there, though. So that'll bring up 4th and 9.
Yeah, Pinckney doesn't give you the drop back presence of a Rob Cass. 2 very distinct styles at quarterback, and not having a lot of success early putting the ball in the air with Pinckney, and only a matter of time before we will see the big strong-armed Rob Cass. What it does do, Terry Gannon, for opposing defenses is it makes you prepare for mobility and the pass game, a heavy preparation load.
At Dodge, who's averaged over 41 yards per punt throughout the season, and Tadman backs up, lets it fall inside the 20 at the 19. So Boise State and the powerful offense will take over here on the island of Oahu. 7-3 Boise State.
Capital One Bowl Week on ESPN, an American holiday tradition.
Capital One Bowl Week in full swing. Hope you got a chance to see Utah with the win earlier this week. Florida Atlantic, Cincinnati, and BYU over UCLA in what was just the way they won that game with the block at the end. Bruins fans looking for a new coach. Ian Johnson in at running back now. First time we've seen him as they take over 1st and 10. Johnson right into the line. Pierre Bell, the outside linebacker, and a junior from Vanceboro, North Carolina on the hit.
Yeah, really the strength of this East Carolina defense. We talked about it earlier, the front 7, and the linebacking core is very talented across the board. Quentin Cotton and Pierre Bell, the outside linebackers, very capable of moving, flowing. They run extremely well.
Little shoulder injury earlier in the season, maybe their best athlete, Bell. So it's 2nd and 9. Quick hitter, Avery, and he is a quicker guy to the hole. Here's the lineup defensively. Zach Slate bringing it to you, presented by Yellow Book.
Aloha, the defensive line. The D tackles are led by senior Mark Robinson, and at the other end, my buddy CJ Wilson. At the linebacker core, led by middle linebacker Fred Wilson, a senior, and in the back end, a pair of safeties led by Van Eskridge and JJ Melbrook.
Yeah, Van Eskridge, their leading tackler, almost 100 of those on the season. Zach Slate looks like he fits in on Waikiki. Got the 4-day growth working. Tharp, nowhere to go. C.J. Wilson, defensive end, got to him. Their 27th sack of the season. And Greg Hudson, in his 3rd year, the defensive coordinator, doing the cheerleading on the sideline.
In the lineup, Zach Slate talked about his buddy on the other side, C.J. Wilson. And Wilson has given Clady, the All-American left tackle, all he can handle early.
7th sack of the year for C.J. Wilson.
That was actually Wilson lined up inside, almost a 3 technique. Clady did have his responsibilities locked down outside.
So Brotzman on that running rugby-style punt. And Dwayne Harris, no chance to, well, he did field it. Not sure about that decision, but he got punished for doing it. They'll take over at the 32. You make a sack, you do a little dance, a little hula action there. Boise State has 3 total yards, yet they lead it 7-3 on the scoreboard. And that is a scene that you will not see at the Motor City Bowl on ESPN Wednesday night at 8 o'clock Eastern time. We've got Purdue and Central Michigan, the Boilermakers and the Chippewas. Purdue winning a matchup earlier this season, but ending the year on a 3-game losing streak, while Central Michigan is going the other way. Second half of the season. 4:36 left here in the first. Pinckney still in at quarterback. Chris Johnson bounces off a 1. He's still up. Johnson to the outside, has a chance. Foot race, goodbye. Chris Johnson all the way to the end zone, 68 yards. And they're back to their average of scoring drives under a minute. How about one play?
Well, Boise State heard all week about the speed of Chris Johnson, but it's not quite the same until you see it live. Absolutely one of the fastest players in college football, and he made that secondary look like it was backing up in the open field.
Nice block by Jay Sunhalter, the tight end, who comes in at fullback to spring him. Here comes Hartman on for the extra point. Hartman already with a field goal on the board from 36 yards, and the point after. It is 10-7 East Carolina after Chris Johnson's 17th rushing touchdown this season and 32nd of his career. And we send it very quickly back to SportsCenter 30 at 30 with Reese Davis in the studio. Reese, thank you very much. Big day in the NFL. And it looked a little chilly in Chicago as the Bears beat up on the Packers today.
Well, they slowed down Brett Favre and company, and that's a huge win for the New York Giants, especially when you consider they're going to be playing the Patriots next week. You know, beat Buffalo today, and they're in some trouble in terms of the playoff picture, but they came from behind in the 4th quarter, and looks like the Giants are going to make their presence felt in the NFC playoffs.
Yeah, and with that loss by the Packers to the Bears, and there's nobody they'd rather beat, it means Dallas has home field. A little short pooch this time after the 89-yard return for a touchdown. Jeremy Avery brings it back in good field position again for Boise State out at the 40-yard line. Jeremy Chambliss on the hit.
The Sheraton Hawaii Bowl has such a great history of exciting games, a lot of scoring. You just look back a year ago, Terry, to Arizona State coming in and playing Hawaii here. Just a shootout. Colt Brennan bringing his team from behind. This has been one of the more entertaining venues in Christmas time, year in, year out.
And speaking of Colt Brennan, how about Hawaii and what they've done this year? And that last matchup, which was for the WAC title right here in the last regular season game for Boise State. Avery dances around, looks ahead for a gain of maybe 2 before Linville Joseph, the freshman from Florida, stopped him there. But Hawaii heading to the Sugar Bowl to take on Georgia, and Boise State had a chance to win yet another WAC title in that game, and they have just dominated the WAC over the last number of seasons.
Well, the scene was electric a few weeks back when Boise State took on Hawaii, and Boise State actually had a lead in the third quarter of that game. Colt Brennan, 40 for 53, 5 touchdown passes.
46-2, Boise State's record in the WAC the last 48 games. This one complete over the middle at the 47 as we send it down to Janine Edwards.
Well, Terry, as you and David know, if Coach Skip Holtz needs any coaching advice whatsoever, he's just a phone call away from one of the all-time greats, his dad, Lou Holtz, 2-time National Coach of the Year. And Skip Holtz told me that he especially sought his dad's insight this season because they had many tough, close, emotional games, no week off. He said, I was mentally shot. So I called my dad and I said, how do I handle this? What did Lou tell him? Suck it up. There's no time for pity. He said, you got to deal with the hand you're dealt. How's that, Terry, for tough love?
Yeah, well, that's what a father's supposed to tell his kid. But he did. They had a tough loss to Carolina, and the one the Southern Miss went down to the last play. Wrapped up behind the line of scrimmage is start Van Eskridge, the first man to meet him, but he had help. Suck it up.
I love that. You look at that picture. Skip coaching alongside his dad. Dad, obviously head coach at Notre Dame at the time, and it looks like Lou's getting ready to let that lid fly. Don't do it, Lou.
Well, you think Skip has seen that look a number of times throughout the years?
How many times do we see the hat or the headsets or both come off? And both, I'll tell you what, the lineage and the pedigree, a lot of the same principles you see in this East Carolina team handed down from Skip Holtz's father.
Brotzman on, averaging over 45 yards a punt. Line drive kick again, and Harris fielded the last one dangerously along the sideline. Watches this one go out at the 15-yard line. It is Capital One Bowl week. For more on that, we join Brent Musburger right now. That time of the year, 32 bowl games, and interesting to see the different approaches to the bowls too, and certainly they've taken advantage of the islands here. Had a good time this week before going to work. Chris Johnson with a big touchdown run on the last series out across the 25.
Well, Terry, you know I'm a playoff guy. I'm not a BCS guy, but this is an interesting season, and when you look at all the bowls, I think it's so much more exciting this year because you had so many teams near the top of the rankings throughout the season. So many teams that played into that top 5. So many different teams falling as a number 1 or a number 2 ranked
but
team
it makes
in the country.
It more frustrating for those teams with 2 losses who are not playing for a national championship.
Well, that's true, but so many teams and so many games, you can look back and say, hey, you know, that particular team had a chance to maybe win a national title.
Dwayne Harris, who they use a number of different ways, bringing it out across the 35 to the 36. So good run for Harris, who also is a former quarterback and has thrown the ball a number of times this year.
But I agree with you, Terry. You know, you look at LSU as a 2-loss team, and there's no way that you can say that LSU as a 2-loss team is better than a USC or an Oklahoma or a Virginia Tech.
I think the timing of your losses, it counts too much in the standings as we look at the ESPNU All-State Standings Review, and Ohio State and LSU at the top. But if you lose early and people forget about you, I think that plus the fact that, you know, the votes are cast each week on Sunday morning when no one's really got the chance to take it all in on a weekly basis. Johnson straight ahead. He's over 100 yards already in the game before Tim Brady stops him.
Well, and you hear a lot of head coaches talk about the importance of getting into bowl games to get that extra practice, and you get an extra opportunity to showcase your program for recruiting. I think it plays into the next season's rankings. You know, you win a bowl game, that can help you in the rankings to lead into the next season.
Which makes a difference.
It does make a difference.
And how highly you're ranked to start a season.
So your performance in a bowl game in one season can affect your ability to maybe get into a national title game the following year.
He's still in at quarterback. Guns one out, and they're close to another first down. Jamar Bryant with his first catch of the afternoon. Maybe just shy of a first down. We'll see. Bryant, their leading receiver. That's his 43rd catch this year.
Yeah, and Bryant, along with Dwayne Harris, the 2 talented skill athletes on the outside. Great compliments to Chris Johnson, and I'm really impressed with the way that East Carolina is keeping this Boise State defense off balance. Also a bit of a surprise, Skip Holtz going exclusively with Pinckney early.
Dominic Lindsay in at tailback now as Johnson gets a rest. He's already over 100 yards. Play action. Pinckney looking for him out of the backfield. Well covered, but there's a hole. Still up. He can run. First down at the 32. Patrick Pinckney, who gained 253 yards on the season on the ground, as well as what he did in the air.
And this is what Pinckney gives you. You don't get the drop back passing threat, but he is always a threat to pull the football down. You know, he drops back, he's able to get out on the edge, and if he checks the picture down the field and doesn't like it, he's capable of escaping out that back door and picking up yards.
9 seconds left here in the first, and another first down for ECU after the gain of 19. Johnson straight into the line, gain of maybe 2. It's his 900-yard-plus rushing game in his career, 5th this season. Dallas Dobbs makes the hit there, but the first quarter is in the books. Some action and points, including an 89-yard return here in the Hawaiian Islands. East Carolina on top of last year's darling Boise State. 10-7 you score here at Aloha Stadium. (10-7) ECU on top of Boise State here in the Hawaiian Islands. Oahu, and your heart rate just tends to go down about 5 or 6 beats as soon as you step off the plane, doesn't it?
It does, and you just give that exhale, and then you're in the driver's seat for about 6 or 7 days.
And if you're a player, I mean, all week long you're taking in all the sights, and you're going to Pearl Harbor, and you're on the beach, Waikiki, and you got to gear it up and play. Pinckney with the first down run down to the 15, so ECU moving the football, and a gain of 14 on that play. But the other night, both teams able to check out Alua. Get the lay, and then right outside the Royal Hawaiian there, the Sheridan right next door.
Luau has always been a trademark, a standard when he made the trip to Hawaii for a bowl game. This is one of the more structured weeks. A lot of activities, a lot of times and schedules, when to be at the bus, but a terrific job and a lot of fun things to do for the athletes over the course of the week.
Johnson had the long touchdown run, stopped right at the line of scrimmage, may have fallen ahead for 1, but that's it. Marty Tadman on the stop first. Check out the numbers from the first quarter, and you've got 3 total yards for Boise State.
And Boise State with the kickoff return for a touchdown, really the lone bright spot, but East Carolina doing a great job with Pinckney keeping this Boise State defense off balance.
You're surprised that he's still in the game at quarterback?
No, I'm not. I think that Skip Holtz, this was part of his game plan to give Pinckney a heavy dose of the snaps, and his mobility is creating a lot of problems for the Broncos.
9th play of the drive. There he goes. He's rushed for 57 yards already. Throws on the run, complete inside the 10 to Bryant, and then he pays for it. Got to get to about the 6 for a first down. Jason Robinson, who's getting a start ahead of Jerron Johnson, who's injured, but we will see him. He made the stop. So back comes Pinckney after the play call on the sidelines.
The Pirates' ability to run the ball in the first quarter, the big 68-yard touchdown that Chris Johnson ripped off on the Broncos, has created some opportunities in the pass game and allowed Pinckney to get to the edge on multiple occasions.
3rd and 2, and they operate out of the eye. Sunholter, the tight end slash fullback, in motion. There goes Johnson. Flag on the play, though, as he gets down to about the 2. The flag's back out at the 9. And there we go.
Offside. Defense. Penalties decline. Result of the play is a first down.
Well, obviously declined. So you've got 1st and goal for East Carolina. Thank you. It is time for the Aflac trivia question. How many points did ECU lead at the half in the double overtime loss to Marshall, 2001 GMAC Bowl? So you got A, B, C, and D. We've got multiple choice here, and there's how you play. You can text for ESPN and answer the Aflac trivia question. 17, 21, 30, or 35. Those are your choices.
First and goal from the 3. Lindsey fighting his way down to the goal line and into the end zone. So the ECU fans here all the way from Greenville, North Carolina, trying to make it sound like a Hawaii game this year. June Jones leading the way, who will join us, by the way, in a few moments. Dominic Lindsey, the junior from Charlotte, getting 6 more on the board. Lindsey, a guy who doesn't have breakaway speed, but he can run between the tackles and did so. This one just inside the upright, and Hartman tacks on another one. So a 10-point lead for East Carolina. Keeping it on the ground, mixing it up. Pinckney leading the way. Lindsey finishing it. (17-7) ECU on top of Boise State. Earlier this week, Colt Brennan heading out to practice. That's Boise State out there. What's going on? Well, they practice side by side, which seems a bit odd. And David, you were out there taking a look and had a chance to chat with June Jones, who now joins us in the booth. And Coach, how odd was that?
Well, that was a little bit different. You know, we got to see what they're about, and we kind of you know, take a lot of pride that we won, and that was kind of their spot for the last 7 years.
Yeah, exactly. And winning that last game, what an atmosphere. And I want to talk to you about that too as we get things underway here. And East Carolina taking it away to Austin Smith, who's already brought it back 89 yards for a touchdown. Looking for a seam and out to the 29. But to come to this stadium, what you've done this year, undefeated, you're headed to the Sugar Bowl, but this island, I think there's an atmosphere here now and an excitement that I haven't seen in a long time.
No, in fact, I knew it had the potential to do that when I came back, but this surpasses everything that even I imagined.
And to hear this stadium like you heard it this season, that last one against Boise State, which may have been the biggest game ever for the WAC.
No question. Boise and Washington, this thing right here was moving up and down that we're standing on right now.
So 1st and 10 for Boise State as they run it with Avery, and there's a flag on the play. So we'll get to that. Have you had a chance to sit back and sigh and take in what's taking place this season?
You know, I really haven't. You know, I think I will after we get back from New Orleans, but we were just right on to the next thing, and it's just been nonstop since the end of that game.
What's your schedule now?
We leave Christmas night. We're off. We practiced this morning. We're off for a couple days. We meet the team. A lot of guys, about 30 of our mainland guys, went back home, and they'll meet us in New Orleans.
Another Oregon guy right here.
Yeah, right here, a QB too.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, he threw it up and down Multnomah Stadium.
Yeah, I used to walk down the hill down to Civic Stadium, Multnomah Stadium, and watch June Jones, quarterback for Mouse Davis, and of course Neil Lomax followed Coach Jones, and in a lot of ways that got me excited about playing quarterback.
So we back it up, and so it's now 1st and 20 for a Bronco offense that has sputtered so far. Tharp under pressure, has been sacked already in this game, has some room, and out to the 27. I want to get to that game that you're about to play in just a moment, but what you've seen so far here from Boise, and you know them well, 46 points a game. They're not far behind you. They put up almost 43 a game. Are you surprised at what's happened?
You know, I am a little bit surprised. Dave and I were talking about it a couple times earlier in the week when he came over to watch practice. I just watching it so far, it looks like Taylor Tharp is not himself, and you know, I think so much keys on what he does in Boise's offense. Even though you know, Ian gets all the credit and all that, but when Taylor's hitting balls and throwing the ball down the field, it changes things.
Well defended. They set up the screen. There's Avery, who's another. He backs up Ian Johnson, and Johnson gets all the hype, and he deserves it. But here's a guy who's awfully dangerous.
I'll tell you what, he scared the heck out of me. I mean, I have all the respect for Ian, but when he got in the backfield, you know, he just has a little spot of air, and he can take it to the house.
Hey, Coach, looking back on the run and shoot over the years and going back over 3 decades, it must be just really gratifying to see that offense get into a situation where you're in a big BCS game. You're going to the Sugar against obviously a storied program in Georgia. Talk to us a little bit about Mouse Davis and that offense and what that means for you to get this opportunity.
Well, you know, we have
Speaking of run and shoot, that is Young with the catch across midfield. Nope, incomplete. He's out of bounds.
Well, you know, Mouse and I took a lot of criticism for what we were doing for a lot of years, probably 30 years. Mouse more than me even. You know, I'm watching today, as I'm sure you guys were, New England playing on TV against Miami, and I think they lined up in 4 wides about 100% of the time. And you know, it kind of gives it, you know, a little satisfaction that, hey, you know, maybe 30 years ago we were right, and now it's finally coming around. And I take a lot of pride in that, watching them win.
And a real tribute to Mouse Davis as well.
No question, no question. He had the courage to do it when nobody else did. Tiger Ellison, he took Ohio State coach, took kind of a concept and developed it into a passing game. And what a job everywhere he has done.
There's that line drive punt. It is fielded this time. Harris with a chance. Not much of a chance, though. Stopped right at the 25-yard line. I want to come back and just get a thought or two about the Sugar Bowl and Georgia and what you faced. Coach, stay with us. ECU takes over when we come back.
ESPN College Football, the Sheridan Hawaii Bowl.
Surfs up here in Honolulu. Terry Gannon along with David Norrie, Janine Edwards down on the field. That's pretty good.
That is good right there.
Not bad at all. June Jones, the head coach at Hawaii, joins us. Do you get out there at all? I know you ride the bike.
Not so much. Yeah, I ride my bike.
17-7, East Carolina on top. They take over 1st and 10. Chris Johnson's had a big game already. There he goes. Johnson finally brought down inside the 30 at the 28. The quick burst, pretty impressive.
No, he does, and he outran the angles on the first touchdown run, and he outran the angles on that one again.
Well over 100 yards. That's 46 yards on that carry, and he was already over 100 yards.
We talked to the offensive coordinator for East Carolina, Todd Fitch, and he said Chris Johnson is as fast an athlete as I've had in college football, and Coach Fitch has a pretty good background. Some history in the SEC, and Chris Johnson, Boise State, Chris Johnson didn't have their attention coming into this game. He has gotten their full attention by now.
Orlando Scandrick saved a touchdown. That was Wayne Harris who lined up in the backfield, and that's what he'll do every now and then, even though he is a wide receiver. Coach, I want to ask you about Georgia. They're one of a couple of teams that people say right now, you don't want to play Georgia. They're playing great and they're red hot. What are your thoughts on it?
Well, I think most of those people are right. You don't want to play them. Their athleticism and their schemes. They've done a great job. Mark has done a great job putting together both sides of the ball. They coach them well, and they got great athletes. There's no reason that they shouldn't be upset that they shouldn't be playing in the big game.
Mark Richt, the head coach of Georgia, has done a great job with the Bulldogs after leading the offense over at Florida State for a number of years. 1st and 10 at the 17. Johnson wrapped up behind the line.
Coach, you played in a lot of big games, and your team has played in a lot of big games. And Hawaii has done a nice job of going outside the conference and playing against a lot of the BCS teams over the last 5 or 6 years. How do you guard against your players being a little overcome by the magnitude of the game in the moment, going down in the South, playing Georgia in the Sugar Bowl, the crowd, that sort of thing?
Well, hopefully just having done what you said, stepped out there and done it. We've been to SC twice. We went to Alabama last year, and you wanted to see the big time. You go to Alabama on a bus into that stadium. And our kids were a little bit shell-shocked the first half, but we rallied up and played pretty good in the second half, and hopefully we can start out the game without that intimidation. What a play that is.
Set up the screen to Johnson, and he goes to the end zone again. Touchdown, East Carolina, and they have totally dominated this game from the line of scrimmage. Remember, the one score on the board for Boise State was the kickoff return.
That's very surprising.
East Carolina doing a lot of nice things in terms of finding ways to get the ball in the hands of Chris Johnson. Getting him outside, getting him active, and Chris Johnson is really featuring his speed early in this football game.
Hartman on for the extra point. It's up and good. The 6th touchdown catch of the season for Chris Johnson, showing you why he deserves all the accolades this season, along with Ian Johnson on the other side. So ECU traveling some 4,800 miles plus. And Hawaii, Coach, you got a long trip ahead of you.
Yes, we do, and we've had a few trips this year, and fortunately, this will be, hopefully, this will be a little gain in experience for us for going back there.
Well, Coach, one last note. I was very impressed to hear that Coach Jerry Glanville, of course, took the Portland State job a year ago. Mouse Davis went with him to be offensive coordinator, and I had heard that they were both going to be getting Sugar Bowl rings, and I thought that was a real special
Well,
deal.
you know what? Jerry and Mouse had as much to do with this team as any of the other coaches. They're part of us. They're part of me. And Jerry had a classic line when I told him we were going to get him a ring, and he just flat said on the phone, he said, "Well, let's just face it. If we didn't go to Portland State, you would have only won 7." and so we deserve it more than anybody.
Jerry's ring has got to be black, though. He only wears black.
Yeah,
right?
we're only going to get him a black one.
Hey, Coach, thanks so much.
All right,
congratulations,
guys.
Coach.
Best of luck.
Merry Christmas.
Good luck down in New Orleans.
And a great year already for Hawaii. June Jones and what they've done. Colt Brennan and the guys will be headed to New Orleans to take on Georgia. Smith brings it back our way. He's got a crease. And flags come in late as he takes it out to the 45 and is wrapped up there. All of this part of Capital One Bowl Week. So we'll sort out the flag with 8:43 left until halftime.
During the kick return, holding number 40 of the receiving team, 10-yard penalty. First down, Boise.
Backs him up 10. They'll take over. And a reminder, Motor City Bowl coming your way Wednesday at 8 o'clock Eastern. Purdue taking on Central Michigan. MAC champ for the 2nd straight year. Look forward to quite a bit of offense in that one, David.
Yeah, Lefevre, a dual threat quarterback, and I really like Curtis Painter. Curtis Painter working with a group of wide receivers that Joe Tiller said early on in the year was the best group that he's had in East Lafayette since he's been there.
Central Michigan winners of 4 of their last 5. Tharp's going deep, had him early, underthrew the receiver. Heinrich Young was out there, but intercepted by Travis Williams. He had a step, and he didn't lead him.
You're absolutely right, Terry Gannon. He did have him, and you got to get that ball up a count or two earlier. Titus Young had created some space, but the ball was underthrown. And there's some wind, as there frequently is at Aloha Stadium. The wind blowing pretty stiffly throughout the first half, but that ball hung up, and Travis Williams made a great play to use the body, go up and make the play.
The lone senior starter in that secondary, Williams, with his 2nd interception of the season. So it's East Carolina coming in. And what about that poll? 98% of Americans who took part in the poll thought Boise State would win. The 2%'s looking pretty good right now. A lot of time left, though, obviously, still in the first half.
Well, one thing you have to take into account was the toughness of schedule. We talked about that Hawaii-Boise State game, Terry, in late November. You know, Boise State and Hawaii came into that game dead last and second to the last in the country in schedule strength. And then you look at the September schedule of East Carolina, you know, opening up against Virginia Tech on the road, playing West Virginia on the road, and Southern Miss and North Carolina in between.
And somehow surviving to come back and win 7 games and go to a bowl. Johnson fights his way to the 26. But Taylor Tharp, the quarterback for Boise State, Janine, certainly has not looked comfortable so far.
No, not at all, Terry. And I heard you, David, and June Jones talking about his comfort level. And, you know, the coaches had told us the other day that they would be able to tell immediately if he was trusting his protection. They said they didn't want to see him dancing around, throwing the ball up for grabs. They want him to be fearless. And I can tell you, he has not looked fearless today. He's very dejected. He looks very confused. And when he came off the field just a minute ago, nobody talked to him. He just walked over to the phone. Very, very down look on Taylor Tharp's face right now. He is confused.
Yeah, well, he doesn't have a cannon for an arm, so he's got to make good decisions. He had a few poor ones in that Hawaii loss. Timeout. ECU will step away. It'll be 3rd and 5 when we come back. That is not a wave that I saw on Waikiki Beach.
Yeah, that looks
That's
almost like North Shore, huh?
Yeah. I don't think I'm ready to take that on. Ian Johnson just a yard. 1 carry, 1 yard. But you saw the numbers on Chris Johnson, his counterpart for ECU. 162 yards. Also caught a pass and taken it to the house. 7:24 and counting here. Binkney's still in at quarterback. The quick out. Wrapped up at the 29. Short of a first down on 3rd and 5. So good coverage that time. But the fans from Greenville, North Carolina, loving what they're seeing here in the first half. A bit of a shot.
That's a big play for Boise State just to get East Carolina off the field. And Boise State is able, with their cornerbacks, to lock up man-to-man. They have the capability to get the safeties involved in the run game. They're actually outnumbering East Carolina at the line of scrimmage, but the Pirates' offensive front has been dominant in the ground game and also allowing Pinckney to use his mobility.
Dodge on for a second punt. Had him back at his own 32 and taken down right away. Great coverage. TJ Lee with the arm, the strong arm. 39 yards on the punt and no return.
And Terry, you never really know with teams, especially coming over to Hawaii, who's preparing, who's loose, and which team's tight. But East Carolina has come out in this football game, and it doesn't look like Boise State has answered the bell yet.
And Boise State has had 4 3-and-outs plus an interception so far. Remember the one score because of that kickoff return. So Taylor Tharp, the senior from Boulder, Colorado, 50-year guy, takes over 1st and 10. It behind the line is Avery. Tough running out across the 35 to the 37 goes the redshirt freshman. Jeremy Chambliss hit him first, but he spun away. And J.J. Millbrook then wrapped him up. But this is an offense that has averaged 42.8 points per game on the year. And they've got 7 and done nothing from the line of scrimmage. Tharp from shotgun. 2nd and 3. Throws complete. And there's a first down. Ball's loose at the end. But he got it back right at the 45-yard line. Julian Hawkins on the catch, his 19th of the year.
Taylor Tharp taking over for Jared Zabransky. Zabransky, a great 3-year run as the starter. Ryan Dinwiddie, the 3 years prior to Zabransky. And Tharp is a guy who has had great numbers, but if he is not in rhythm, he struggles.
5 receiver set. That was their first down of the game, and this time inside the 40 to the 39 goes Tanyan Bissell, his first catch of the afternoon.
And this could be good for Tharp, getting into a no-huddle offense here. Obviously the clock is not a factor, but Chris Peterson doing whatever he can to get Taylor Tharp comfortable in the pocket to create some rhythm in the passing game, and I like the idea of going no-huddle here.
Gain of 15 on the play, so they move the chains. 5 receivers again over the middle. Same guy, almost the same result. Bissell with his 2nd catch. And they are playing without their all-whack wide receiver Jeremy Childs, who was suspended, did not make the trip. One of 3 who didn't make the trip over here.
Yeah, that's a huge loss coming into a bowl game. Sets the single-season record for Boise State. 82 catches on the year, and really the go-to guy, a guy who can find voids and get open for Taylor Tharp.
From the gun on 2nd and 2 to the sideline, incomplete. He was out of bounds. Toshi Franklin made the catch but was out of bounds, covered by Pierre Bell.
Well, there have been questions on Taylor Tharp's arm strength from time to time, but you watch on this post corner ball, he gets this ball there in a hurry, and the accuracy is pretty impressive as well. As a quarterback, you got to be careful to throw the ball with timing and not lead your wide receiver out of bounds. But I think Chris Peterson right now has some confidence and is happy to see his quarterback start throwing the ball with more effectiveness.
Avery in motion from the backfield. Quick throw, quick catch. Austin Pettis looking for room. And he has a first down, and we'll see where they spot it, though. Pettis, a guy who's really come on in the second half of the year. 25 catches, 5 touchdowns in the last 4 games for the true freshman from Anaheim.
And he was a guy who in November took a lot of heat off Jeremy Childs, created a compliment on the other side. He's done a great job as a true freshman, along with Titus Young.
And their freshmen have put up big numbers this year.
Absolutely, both true freshmen with 37 catches. And of course, Pettis' father, Gary Pettis, used to roam the outfield for the California Angels.
Avery Patient Rumpers through. Inside the 10, inside the 5, down to the 3. Van Eskridge on the tackle, but a gain of 23, and it's first and goal, Broncos.
Now, we heard Hawaii coach June Jones a couple minutes ago talk about his preparation and watching Avery on film. I visited with Coach Jones earlier this week, and he said, David, we were really concerned about him. Obviously, Ian Johnson is a complete package, but Avery really lit it up, and we noticed him on film immediately.
DJ Harper now in at tailback. They fake to him, play action. Clark rolls it out towards the goal line. There's a touchdown. Ryan Putnam just able to hold on long enough to stretch the ball across the goal line. Putnam, the senior tight end from California.
And the tight end so important for Boise State. 4 tight ends get quality time. Putnam and Brockle really the key figures there. They create so much flexibility for this offense, ability to shift in motion, use specialty sets. Great play by Putnam making the catch and breaking the goal line.
Brotzman on for the extra point, up and good. So some life for Boise State here with just over 4 minutes left until the half. Ryan Putnam, his 4th touchdown reception this season. Some life on offense for Boise State as they get to within 10 of East Carolina. State plays 69 yards in just over a couple of minutes off the clock.
I really like the shift in terms of offensive strategy and rhythm by putting Taylor Tharp in a no-huddle type status. Took some of the thinking out of it for Taylor Tharp, and it looked like he really found his rhythm and a comfort level on the drive.
Chris Johnson back at his own 8. Outside, gets away. And great field position again for East Carolina. They've done this time and again as he brings it all the way back to the 40, a 32-yard return. Gave me the Aflac trivia question a long time ago. Did you have time to vote? I think so. How many points did ECU lead by at the half in that double OT loss to Marshall in 01 in the bowl game? A, B, C, or D? What do you got, David?
Well, we went over this earlier. That would be cheating. I already knew the
Wouldn't
answer.
be the first time. C, 30 points. They were down 38-8 at the half and lost 64-61. 41% got it right.
I didn't see that game, but I would call that a defensive breakdown by East Carolina.
In position on the offense, 5-yard penalty, first down.
So they'll bring it back to the 36 for Skip Holtz in the offense. The wind picking up a little bit here in Aloha Stadium.
So Terry, that was the highest scoring game or bowl game in the history of college football, and Boise State was involved in a game earlier this year against Nevada, the highest scoring game period in the history of college football. Yeah, 4 overtime, 69-67,
17 touchdowns in that game.
Broncos won it.
Pinckney, quick throw out to Bryant. Lamar looks for room, ridden out of bounds at the 39. Orlando Scandrick on the coverage.
You arrive in Hawaii, and I know that Boise State was here 3 or 4 weeks ago, but you arrive in Hawaii, you get involved in the activities, you enjoy, Terry, a couple cold beverages, a little surfing and snorkeling, and then all of a sudden you come out and you're surprised by the athleticism and the speed of this offense by East Carolina. And I think Boise State's still trying to get acclimated on defense.
Surprised a little bit, though. I know this is a bowl game. The approach is a little different, but they were just here for their last regular season game. They know the drill. Behind the line of scrimmage, Chris Johnson brought down, and now some life for this defense. Marty Tadman leading the way.
Well, it's interesting. He talked to Skip Holtz before this game, and he said, you know, we're going to need to force Boise State to use their safeties against us in the run game. And in fact, we invite that. If we can't get those safeties up to the line of scrimmage, we're not going to be able to take our shots down the field in the pass game. But, you know, with Pinckney in the game and not their drop back passer, Rob Cass, Pinckney gives you some other ways to move the football
without necessarily threatening the field vertically.
3rd and 12, 4 receiver set. Pinckney can run it, throws on the run, throws low, and incomplete. So it brings up 4th down. Mike Hickman, the intended receiver, over the middle of the field.
Pinckney, a nice job getting outside. Again, he just missed on that ball a bit low. Had an opportunity to move the chains, and 2 straight stops for the Broncos on defense.
Edmond, the senior first-team all-conference performer, back waiting for the Matt Dodge punt.
Haven't seen a trick play yet from Boise State.
This is a booming punt. That carried almost all the way out of the end zone. 61 yards. You'd like to get 20 of those back. That's where they'll bring it. 1st and 10 when we come back. Right now we send it back to the studio and Reese Davis. No idea why you would tell me that score, Reese. Thank you very much. Sidney Lowe leading NC State. Quick out and hit hard just outside the 20. Travis Williams on the stop.
Now, Terry, we have not seen a trick play yet from Boise State, and
that's the 2nd time you said that now. I think you sensed something coming.
Well, they're capable of springing those plays on you, either in the special teams or offensively. And on that last punt, my radar was up. Because your radar always has to be on against Boise State when they start pulling out the specialty plays.
Catch near the 1st down may have it for Julian Hawkins right in front of Fred Wilson. And they will move the chain. So back to that same approach for Boise State as they spread things out and go to that shotgun.
And I think it's taken a lot of the thought process out of it for Taylor Tharp. He's making quick reads. The ball's coming out on time.
Tharp goes underneath. Ball's loose at the end of the play, and a scramble. ECU thinks they have it right in front of the ECU bench, and they do. Titus Young, the man on the catch, but then he lost the football. And just as they start to move it consistently, they turn it over.
Yeah, this is a big mistake by Titus Young. And he's a speedster. He's a true freshman. He's made a lot of plays, 37 receptions on the year as a first-year player for the Broncos. But you can't put the football on the turf, especially when you're trailing by 10 in this football game, giving East Carolina a short field. Titus Young has had some problems with consistency throughout the year. Drops.
Officials timeout. The preceding play is under review.
So they'll take a look at that last play, but clearly on our replay, it was knocked loose by Travis Williams, the cornerback, who's already gotten a interception in this game.
And Chris Peterson, you see by the look on his face, the ball gets loose there. You see some air.
Yeah.
That was not solid work by Titus Young in terms of ball security.
And Jay Ross, the sophomore from Wilmington, North Carolina, pounced on it.
And that's clearly a fumble. The ball comes out early. And you have to know, too, on a little quick hitch route like that, that the troops are going to arrive. They're going to arrive in numbers. Don't be afraid to get down low and live to fight another day. And Boise State had some nice momentum working on offense, starting to find a groove in the pass game.
David, go back to what you were talking about a few moments ago and the approach being here on the islands, and sometimes it's tough to get into get that game face on. The different approaches by coaches for bowl games, and we saw yesterday in the walkthrough, Chris Peterson, it was business as usual.
Very businesslike.
Yeah,
very businesslike.
And it was workmanlike. On the other hand, ECU at the end of their walkthrough even had a coach's game. They played against each other. Skip Holtz had the ankles all taped up, had the wristbands on, and it was a great time for the ECU players to be able to get all over the coaches from the sidelines.
It's a perennial story, trying to figure out, and people walk up to you, which team's going to play well.
After video review, the ruling on the field is confirmed. Fumble recovered by Eastern Carolina. First down.
Yep. But I know, Terry, you got questions. People saying, who's going to win this game? Who's going to play well? And you really never know. I mean, these are 17 all the way up to 22-year-olds, and they're trying to enjoy themselves, a reward for the season. You know, a lot of them visiting Hawaii for the first time, at least East Carolina players, and you really don't know how these players are going to react until they kick it off.
You see only 13 turnovers on the year, and they haven't given it away yet. Boise State has twice. Another first down perhaps, at least he's near that. Chris Johnson continues to roll.
Well, I've been extremely impressed by this offensive line for East Carolina. Steve Shankweiler, the co-offensive coordinator, who works alongside Todd Fitch, really has this front five playing well in the first half.
Chris Johnson, 172 yards already and a touchdown run. The lone setback, play action. Pinckney stops, guns it over the middle, complete. First down inside the 15. Jason Holter, who's thrown a couple of good blocks to spring large runs already, with a catch, 16 yards.
When you run the football effectively, it opens up so many options, especially with a quarterback like Pinckney. You really improve a smaller quarterback's vision by getting him outside on the edges. And then the ability to drop the ball off with accuracy. This is a real surprise. Rob Cass sitting for the entire first half, but East Carolina very evident that their game plan was to get their athletes out in space against Boise State and feature their athleticism.
Pinckney playing with poise too offensively. Johnson dances inside the 10 down to the 8.
What's really impressive to me, Terry, is that Boise State is trying to outnumber East Carolina. They're trying to bring an extra defender in the box. The one thing you don't want to do as a defensive coordinator is watch the other team control the ball on the ground. And East Carolina, to their credit, is using some two tight end and getting that 8th defender blocked.
We'll blow the whistle on 2nd and 6.
We hear it week in and week out about loading up the box and 8, 9 men in the box, but a good way to neutralize that is to play a two tight end formation.
Has some confusion. I think they thought there was a full timeout there for a moment, and then they quickly run water bottles off the field.
Game clock operator, please reset the clock to 1 minute, 5 seconds.
312 total yards for East Carolina here in the first half.
Pirates in no hurry. 3 timeouts. Still over a minute to go. In fact, you'd like to work the clock. I think we're going to see a run here.
Still get a first down inside the 2. Johnson does run it. It's maybe to the 3. Close perhaps at the end of that first down. I think it's just shy though.
And Boise State, no need in taking those 2 timeouts into the locker room with you.
Well, the numbers for Chris Johnson, first half record here in the Sheridan Hawaii Bowl, 181 yards. Kevin Smith in 2005 had 202 yards. That's the game record in Central Florida. Give it to the up back, Dominic Lindsay to the end zone again. So Johnson doing all the work, getting them down near the goal line, and Lindsay able to take it in. And there surely were some people that thought East Carolina would stay with Boise State, but I don't think anyone thought that they'd see this in the first half.
Well, they're physically manhandling the Broncos up front, and I don't think there are a lot of people that expected that either. Johnson, Dominique Lindsay, both enjoying a lot of space, a lot of freedom between the tackles.
Hartman up and good. 31 points in the first half for Skip Holtz and East Carolina, and a large lead over Boise State. A little preview of what's coming up on Monday Night Football this week from our man Mike Tirico right now to kick things off. And how about the tour this year? And then in Chicago, it was the hottest ticket in 20 years, I read in the Sun-Times.
I heard it's a tough ticket. Now, not necessarily my cup of tea week in and week out, but for that.
See, you say that on the air, but I think
younger,
you're very much a closet Hannah Montana fan.
I was a big fan of her father. You know, the achy breaky heart deal, the country music. I'm a Billy Ray Cyrus guy.
You give me that Led Zeppelin, Stone stuff, and I don't buy it for a minute.
The game has passed me by.
Avery coming out from his own 10. Now to the 36, so you've got a little bit of time. Not much, but Taylor Tharp, at least in the last couple of series, and I know they turned it over, but you know, he hit 8 of his last 9 as Avery, and they don't want to see that. Hobbles off after that return. But they got him going a little bit. Tharp.
Yeah, they did get him going, but the fumble by Titus Young was really devastating for Boise State. And an injury to Avery would be devastating as well. With Ian Johnson hobbled, that would force Boise State to go almost exclusively to DJ Harper, freshman.
It is Harper. The lone setback along with Tharp out of the shotgun. Different look this time though from the line of scrimmage, and he threw it right into traffic, and the only one with a chance to catch that was Van Eskridge.
Van Eskridge has had a real nice season for East Carolina. You know, the back end of this defense was a question mark coming into the season. The Pirates knew they were set up front with their front 7, but lost 3 starters from the 2006 team that played in the bowl game against South Florida. And Van Eskridge has been the featured performer. They love to get him involved downhill against the run game. They usually play him into the boundary.
Boise State, on the other hand, lost over 20 seniors, 11 of those to NFL camps. This one almost lost at midfield. Austin Pettis, he ran with it for about 10 yards and then almost just handed it to one of the defenders. They'll move the chains though.
Well, that was nice movement by Tharp in the pocket, and then being able to let the ball go with the sidearm delivery.
Chris Johnson walking to the locker room, a little ahead of the rest of the Pirate squad. Tharp throws over the middle. Pettis again trying to get out. And is knocked out at the 46.
And they really would have been better served using one of the 2 timeouts, because you don't need to save a timeout there.
Well, you save the timeout there, then you throw over the middle, and he was fortunate just to get out of bounds, but you've got 1 second left.
2 timeouts left. You got to call a timeout after that last play. And Boise State here obviously not in position with Brotzman to try to kick a field goal, so this is going to be over the top. If you use a timeout, you have the opportunity to set up a play and try to get down the field and get Brotzman in field goal position.
So you got 3 defenders at the line of scrimmage. That's it for ECU. Everyone back awaiting this Hail Mary. Tharp finally figures out which way to run. Throws it to the goal line. Oh, that had a chance. Incomplete. Young had it go. Excuse me, that was Bissell. Had it go right through his hands.
Tanyan Bissell had a touchdown. And this was misplayed by the East Carolina secondary. There's some wind up there. Bissell with the push off clearly, but that ball arrived cleanly. This really should have been offensive pass interference. Actually, a bit more of a brush. That would have been a touchdown.
Wow. As we send it down to Janine Edwards on the field.
Coach, considering the reputation that preceded Boise State coming into this thing, what do you think of the way your guys are playing right now? You're typically not a strong first half team.
No, we really hadn't been, but I think these players are playing extremely hard. I think they feel like they have a point to make. We have an opportunity to play one of the best non-BCS teams in the country, and with the schedule that we play, we feel like we've got a pretty good ball club, and we're still growing, and we're still learning, and we're still developing, and I think they're extremely motivated, and they get an awful lot of credit. I think the defense is flying to the ball. They're playing physical, and really proud of the offensive line, the way that offensive line has matured. And I've said all along, I'm the president of the Chris Johnson fan club. I think he's a special young man.
He definitely is. Now, I understand he's got a hand injury. He's been icing that right hand. What's going on there?
Yeah, that won't keep him out. Knowing Chris Johnson, that won't keep him out. They told me that it's just a little sore for him right now, and I don't know, he may not be able to catch a ball as well. We'll see when we come out in the second half.
See you then, Coach. Thanks.
Thank you.
All right, Janine, thank you. 181 yards for Chris Johnson. You scored 31-14. East Carolina up as we join Reese Davis and Ed Hunningham in the studio.
Video, the interview, he's going to grant all in an attempt to clear his name. Dominique Magnifique, so too East Carolina. Lindsay and the Pirates up 31-14 at the break.
This halftime report brought to you by Flomax. Welcome back to ESPN's presentation of Capital One Bowl Week.
And back here in Honolulu for the Sheridan Hawaii Bowl. Gorgeous look out the back at Pearl Harbor from Aloha Stadium, and the sun beginning to set here on the islands. East Carolina 31-14, and it was 7-3 Boise State at one point in the first quarter. Terry Gannon back with David Norrie, Janine Edwards down on the field. So Ian Johnson just 1 carry for 1 yard. Obviously the ankle not healthy enough to go, but why did we see the surprising first half that we just saw?
I don't think Boise State was prepared on defense for the speed of East Carolina. And you look at the strength of schedule, East Carolina playing that monster September stretch. East Carolina with Chris Johnson exploding both in the backfield and out in the pass game, and I don't think Boise State was ready for the speed and athleticism of this group. East Carolina playing very well up front with their offensive line as well, Terry.
Over 180 yards on the ground for Chris Johnson in the first half. So if you're Boise State, you just talked it over in the locker room, what are you looking at here in the second half?
Well, I think Jeremy Avery's status, the number 2 back, a very talented back filling in for Ian Johnson, that'll be an interesting story as to whether he goes. But I think Boise State on offense may have to get one-dimensional, get Taylor Tharp in that no-huddle status.
There comes Chris Johnson bringing back the second half kickoff across the 25 to the 26 as we send it down to Janine.
And Terry, I've been listening to you and David talking about Taylor Tharp. I asked Coach Peterson what went wrong in this first half. He said everything. He said we've played about as bad as we have ever played. I tell you, he went in that locker room. He was not in a good mood. I said, is your quarterback looking uncomfortable? He said, yes, it's him, but it trickles down from him. He said it's affecting everybody. He said East Carolina is just playing a more physical game right now. Some of our younger guys are making critical mistakes. We have got to get some points on the board.
Once they went to the spread, Taylor Tharp looked more comfortable. They moved the ball, they scored, had a long drive, but then they turned it over to ECU, which led to another score for the Pirates on first down across the 30. No, right at the 30, as a matter of fact. Chris Johnson, another carry, and I think a lot of people right now, too, from Boise State saying, where did this guy come from?
Well, he's well known on the eastern seaboard, I can assure you that. 1,200 yards and one of the fastest skill athletes at the running back position that you'll see in college football. A bona fide 4-3 guy in the 40.
1,200 yards on the ground this season. Pinckney, who's run the show from the get-go across the 30 before Marty Tadman tripped him up. Chris Johnson, and you look at the total yards and 185 on the ground. Kay Jewelers bringing you the storyline here in the Sheridan Hawaii Bowl. The 2 turnovers really huge because it stopped that second drive for Boise State, that second fumble.
Boise State likes to do everything off the run game. Only 36 yards on the ground in the first half for the Broncos. 264 yards for the Pirates in the run game.
See if Boise State can get some momentum with a stop now. 3rd and 5 out of the shotgun is Patrick Pinckney. Crossing right over the middle, big reception. Cross midfield to the 48 goes Dwayne Harris. Guy who averages about 17 or 18 yards every time he touches the football. And he touches the ball in a number of different ways.
Watch Pinckney's feel in the pocket, throwing this ball with accuracy off the back foot, retreating in the pocket. If you're going to throw the ball on the move, off that back foot, you've got to make sure that you're going to use proper ball placement, and that was a nice front pocket catch by Harris.
Harris, the redshirt freshman from Tucker High School in Stone Mountain, Georgia. This Johnson looks for a hole. It closes quickly just across the line of scrimmage. Dallas Dobbs, the junior from Las Vegas, initially hitting in there.
And Dobbs, what a great story he's been. A guy that came from way off the radar screen, has become an impact player. He'll have another year playing at Boise State, but what has really surprised me, Terry, this defensive front, along with the linebackers and the way they can get the safeties involved, they've been pretty tough against the run, especially with the cornerbacks' abilities to lock on man-to-man, but East Carolina has neutralized that defensive front with their physical play and a 2 tight end set.
Play action for Pinckney, still up. Drilled then inside the 45. Tim Brady hit him from behind. Brady, another outside linebacker and a junior from Boise, went to Carroll College, but some surprises at those spots for Boise State this year. And you go back to Dobbs for a moment, a guy who was a sub and a special teams player in 2006, and no one really expected him to do much this year. And the coaching staff, David Shields got injured earlier in the
year. His second game against Washington, on came Dobbs, and he never relinquished the starting spot.
Kyle Ging was the only returner at linebacker. Of course, Tim Brady, former walk-on.
Just picked up a 3rd and 5. We'll see what they can do on 3rd and 7. Out of the backfield comes Johnson. He's got another Pirate first down. So they'll move the chains again.
Boy, you love to have a running back with soft hands, a running back with the speed of a Chris Johnson to be able to make the catch on the fly. Pinckney using his eyes to hold the secondary down the center of the field and swinging the ball out with accuracy. And I've been very impressed with Chris Johnson's pass catching abilities.
3rd catch for 32 yards and a touchdown so far today to go along with all those numbers on the ground. Quick pitch, straight ahead, spinning still up. Johnson to the 18. Hadman saved the touchdown. And you mentioned on the East Coast, there's no question Chris Johnson is known and one of the top guys in terms of putting up numbers, all-purpose numbers in the country. I think out west, though, not many really know about this guy. Senior from Orlando.
The defensive game plan, as we look at the new Hawaii Bowl record, 203 yards, but the defensive game plan for Boise State coming in was to have a great day with numbers getting to the football on defense, a great day tackling the ball carriers and the skill athletes, and not a great performance from a tackling standpoint for the Broncos.
He breaks the record of Kevin Smith from UCF that was set a couple of years ago. Pinckney, good coverage downfield. Right behind the line of scrimmage, he is dumped at the 19 by Tim Brady.
Take a look at the rush chart. Kind of work that Johnson's been getting done. He's been doing it all over the field. Testing the right side, the left side, 61 yards between the tackles. And he's also shown his big play ability. I think it's safe to say, Terry.
It's a rest on this one, and they throw the flag. Yep.
Substitution infraction. Offense broke the huddle with 12 players. 5-yard penalty. 2nd down.
And the coaches for East Carolina are out there doing this.
Well, and I think Chris Johnson might have come off late. He might have come out of the huddle. Looked like he might have been dinged or winded. He's been getting a lot of work. Only player in the country with more all-purpose yards, Darren McFadden, Arkansas.
Held the penalties to a minimum, though. Only 3 penalties on ECU. So Pinckney out of the shotgun is going to run it. Designed run. Inside, outside, and then down to the 19, almost to the original line of scrimmage. And Marty Tadman again. We've called his name often this afternoon.
Yeah, that was a nice play by Tadman. If he doesn't make the play, Pinckney might walk up that left sideline and into the end zone. Tadman, a guy, you see him in street clothes, not real impressive. He doesn't look like a big-time safety, but he is a great athlete, multi-sport athlete, a great punt returner, deceptive speed, clearly the best athlete on that Boise State defense.
A couple of picks last year in the Tostitos Fiesta Bowl, the defensive MVP. 3rd and 12. A lot of time over the middle, complete. 1st and goal inside the 5 for Jamar Bryant. Knew right where the marker was.
Yeah, this is great work. Patrick Pinckney keeping Rob Cass firmly on the bench in the first half. And you really don't need to go with Rob Cass when you're getting that type of performance from the pocket with the Patrick Pinckney.
Johnson
Pinckney really having an impressive game.
Back in at running back. And there is Cass on the sideline. 7 starts on the year, and a guy who threw for over 1,100 yards. 4 for 4 today. Brandon Simmons in ahead and gets the call to the end zone. And how easy did that look? Simmons, the junior from Newton Grove, North Carolina, with his 2nd touchdown of the season. man's not happy for a variety of reasons, no doubt. But if you're Chris Peterson, you're not happy at this point either. Have yet to figure out this East Carolina squad.
Look like a couple Dr. Seuss characters showing up for the bowl game from Idaho.
Busy afternoon for Ben Hartman, the sophomore from Winston-Salem, and does not get this one off. Well, what an offensive explosion for the Pirates.
False start. Number 70, offense. 5-yard penalty. The try will be repeated.
And David, they really haven't been slowed down all day.
Yeah, well, you got the tackles working up front for the Pirates. Stanley Bryant, Josh Kaufman. Kaufman, a wily veteran, and then the strength of that offensive line. The guards, Matt Butler, Doug Palmer, Stephen Heiss has been a real pleasant surprise. An offensive line is capable of dominating a football game. I think you start a football team with a great offensive line, and the East Carolina offensive line is having themselves an afternoon.
Back up Hartman, he nails it once again, and the Pirates rolling on the ground. Simmons taking it home this time. You know, David Norrie, the hula tells a story, and the one on the left there is saying, I like ECU today. The Pirates are going to roll.
The one on the right saying that Boise State is going to have to launch a comeback through the air.
Halftime festivities here at the Sheridan Hawaii Bowl in Honolulu. Aloha Stadium, 9:02 left in the third. ECU taking it all the way down. They lead 38-14 now.
Look at you getting in tune with the island traditions and the...
You can't help it.
Dancing.
Line drive kick taken at the 15. And a good return coming back. Titus Young, he's got a chance. A couple of men to beat now. To the 33. So we've seen the 89-yard return earlier in the game by Austin Smith, and now great field position at the 32 for the Broncos.
With the exception of the touchdown drive, no huddle touchdown drive put together by Taylor Tharp in the offense, it's been kickoff returns that have generated the only excitement for Boise State.
52 yards, and they'll mark it down just outside the 33. So Taylor Tharp, who started the game on his first 6 drives, he was just 3 of 5 for 7 yards and an interception, but started to heat up. 10 of 13, 77 yards and a touchdown the last 3 drives, but the key turnover, the fumble, leading to points on the board for East Carolina. Jeremy Avery was banged up late in the first, back in starting the second. Good gain on first down.
The turnovers and mistakes in the first half really played into East Carolina taking that big lead at halftime. The pick by Williams, and then Titus Young, just when Boise State had started to create some rhythm for Taylor Tharp. They were moving the ball sharply. Young puts it on the turf.
So Avery a gain of 8 on first down, and Tharp under center. Chris O'Neal, a tight end in motion, going to swing it out to Avery. Cuts back, he's gone. Touchdown, Broncos. "25 yards in the air out of the backfield."
What a block by Dan Gore, the big right tackle on the screen pass. Nice job by Tharp, retreating, setting up, selling the pass. And watch right here, look at Gore. I mean, he is just going to walk. He's just going to walk.
Travis Williams has had a great game, but he doesn't want his teammates to see the tape on that one. Rotzman on for the extra point. Second touchdown catch of the season for Jeremy Avery. There's the man who made it possible. All 302 pounds of him.
ESPN College Football, the Sheridan Hawaii Bowl.
Mele Kalikimaka, David Norrie.
Coming right back at you.
To you and yours. Merry Christmas, everybody. Getting ready for the big night. And nice way to do it here in Honolulu.
My wife and I were very touched that you'd stop by for our tree trimming.
You actually had a
couple
Christmas
nights ago.
tree in your hotel room.
We still do. It's still there. You can come by tonight.
With lights and ornaments and all. I mean, you know how to celebrate the holidays. Take it seriously. Chris Johnson, Special Teams Player of the Year in Conference USA, back at his own goal line. Right at the 20 and dumped there. So ECU will start 1st and 10 from the 20. Just about a mile, maybe 2 from here, out the backside of the stadium, Pearl Harbor and the Arizona Memorial. And every time I come here, you can't help but think of December 7th, 1941, and what it must have been like right there.
You're overcome with just the history and the. Have you ever visited the memorial?
Yeah.
I had the chance to do
Pretty
that
powerful.
about 10 years ago, and it was about as powerful an experience as I've been involved in.
Pirates take over 1st and 10. Johnson over 200 yards, a Sheridan Hawaii Bowl record day already for him. A gain of 2. One of the men springing some of the runs, Josh Kaufman. More on him. Here's Janine.
Yeah, Terry, you were talking about all the activities, that the football players have been engaging in while here. Well, Josh Kaufman's been writing a blog for the Pirates fans back home in North Carolina. And one thing I noticed in reading his blogs, he does a lot of time talking about food. I don't know if that's what linemen do, but he's talking about feasting at the luau's and the Hawaiian dancers and feasting at a barbecue. But he did mention preparing for the game. He didn't forget about that.
So they're eating their way to a 38-21. Of course, he's 292 pounds. Food plays a large role in his life. Wrapped up right at the line, David.
Let's face it, a big part of the experience is the food and beverage. When you visit the islands and a lot of the traditional foods. I like the pokey. Yeah, that raw
Get
tuna.
the pokey at the luau? Yeah. That's you?
Yeah. And a lot of different kinds of foods that are native to the islands that are very tasty. And of course, some nice cold drinks to go along with those specialties.
And David will run down all of those throughout the 4th quarter here at Aloha Stadium. That's straight ahead. 38-21. Crowd's into it now. Not much going on at all. Gain of maybe 2. That's it as they go to the air. You speak of that, and Thursday they had a chance to take in Hawaiian Waters, one of the water adventure parks here. And I've been to this place. I've taken my kids there. It is pretty cool. So this is how you prepare for a bowl game.
And you wonder why there's some questions as to which team's going to show up in the Hawaii Bowl. I mean, so many things to do, and kids are on their feet for hour after hour during the week.
4th down, not a great punt. This one off the side of Dodge's foot. And going to roll dead at the 48. So a punt of 30 yards. Where's Nori in the picture? I know you went there. Guy on the left finishes first. A little momentum now on the side of Boise State after the score and the stop. Ian Johnson not carrying the load today, though. 1 carry early on. Had an ankle injury earlier in the week in practice, and they really didn't let on that it was going to stop him from playing today, but he was questionable, and he hasn't been able to do much at all. Good run after the catch, and near a 1st down for Titus Young. Hey, Reese, what's the Wolfpack doing back on the mainland in hoops?
20-6.
Reese, I thought you gave it away earlier already. I thought they had won already.
And come on, Reese, they did have a trifecta back in the ACC.
Through the hands of Austin Pettis. He had a chance. Yeah, don't mention it. It was inside the top of the key.
Well, there, but it was there nonetheless. 83, the ACC, the only conference to have the three-pointer. You led the nation in three-point shooting, for goodness sakes. And how about that ball from Taylor Tharp? I mean, he put that ball on the money. Pettis really had an opportunity there. Boise State has swung some momentum back in their favor.
You think about that possibility right there. Maybe a ball that, if not should have, certainly could have been caught. And then the last play of the 1st half, Canyon Bissell in the end zone with the Hail Mary, having go right to his hands. Straight drop. Tharp over the middle. He's really starting to get sharp now. First down at the 31. Chris O'Neal at tight end on the catch. Don't forget, Monday Night Football coming your way on ESPN. The AFC West, Cutler and the Broncos, and San Diego, and they've really turned it on in the second half.
Norv Turner. There are a lot of grumbling early in the season. Chargers were up against the ropes, but we hear so much about the Colts and the Patriots, and rightly so, but San Diego's going to be very dangerous, and Norv Turner's done a super job turning things around in San Diego.
Yeah, with those teams trying to avoid New England in that first round, and the Chargers need to win their last 2 games to do that. Pierre Bell got his arms around Jeremy Avery.
Now, we've seen over the years in the WAC, teams always an opportunity to come back, even down 2-3 touchdowns. Boise State, more than 4 minutes to go here in the third quarter. Very dangerous, even trailing by 17 points. Tharp with a short field.
Play action. Tharp wide open. Blauser, the tight end, to the 16. So now an offense that you know is going to put points on the board at some point, showing you why they averaged almost 43 points a game.
Well, Taylor Tharp is so good when he gets his feet set. And we talked about it in the first half. He doesn't have a cannon for an arm, but tremendous numbers. Hitting close to 70% of his passes, a great TD to interception ratio. You see that Boise State coaching, Brian Harsin in his feet. When he gets set and gathered, he is a very accurate passer.
Avery in motion. They fake it to him. Tharp was looking for him initially. Not looking for anyone. Through the hands of Avery, threw a bullet. So Tharp buying time back there, and good coverage down the field.
Yeah, Tharp is not going to scare anybody with his feet. He's not a Patrick Pinckney by any stretch of the imagination, and I was surprised he didn't take a little bit more off that ball as we look at his numbers. He made a nice job of getting outside and buying a little time, but take a little off that ball. Put a handle on it for your young running back.
13 of his last 18 after just a dismal start to the game. Give it inside to Avery, who's run down from behind. Good pursuit by Zach Slate, the defensive end and a junior from Melbourne, Florida. Haven't called his name often this afternoon, but kind of a hybrid, the defensive end linebacker with speed and their best pass rusher.
Well, Tyler Tharp here has to be conscious and in a lot of ways conscientious of the situation, the score. And still 3.5 minutes to go in the third quarter. Don't get greedy here. Don't turn the ball over, because you hit a field goal here. You got that 3 points in your back pocket. You make it a 2-touchdown game.
O'Neal in motion. 4 receivers. No chance for that. Out the back of the end zone.
Well, that ball got away from him. And Tyler Tharp upset. And he had the picture that he wanted down the field with Austin Pettis on the inside route, and that ball sailed on him.
Eskridge racing off, may have a cramp. Brings up 4th and 8. Brotsman 15 of 17 on the year. And has been very good. And no question this one through. So Kyle Brotsman, they wanted 7, but they get 3. 38-24. Boise State getting closer. Gorgeous setting here in Honolulu on a windy but very comfortable afternoon. Kyle Brotsman, who is 16 out of 18 on the year, really only missed one, though. He had one blocked, and there was penetration on that play.
He's been lights out this season. One of the true bright talents as place kicker across the country. 15 for 17 on the year.
And the onside, did it go 10? They caught it at the 40. And boy, he did a great acting job if it was a planned onside.
I'm pretty sure that was a planned onside, but Brotsman did not hit it the way he wanted to hit it. This was very much an intentional attempt, but you got to get it 10 yards down the field on that first hop. Boise State really had East Carolina by surprise.
Legal touching of a free kick by the kicking team. By rule, the receivers will put the ball in play. First down, East Carolina.
So you gamble and you lose because it's inside the 40-yard line. Take a look.
He kicks the top of the ball, clearly intentional, but you got to get that ball in the air and down the field 10 yards. It's a big risk reward, and it was only a matter of time before we saw the specialty play from Boise State. We figured it might come in the special teams, and Brotzman just did not top that ball to get it up in the air and down the field 10 yards. And East Carolina's been moving the football. This is not what you want to see. Pirates in business inside the 40-yard line.
ECU takes over just inside the 40 of the Broncos. They're going to go for it all on first down. Over the middle of the field, incomplete. Double coverage there on Jamar Bryant as we check in for SportsCenter 30 at 30 with Reese once again.
Terry, the Patriots pushed their record to 15-0. They beat the Dolphins 28-7. They play the Giants next week to try to run the table in the regular season. Kobe Bryant became the youngest player in NBA history to score 20,000 points when he dropped 39 on the Knicks in the Lakers' victory over New York. And Roger Clemens posted a video on his website in which he denied using steroids. More on SportsCenter after the game. Stay current with ESPN News.
All right, Reese, thank you very much. Back here, 2nd and 10. The pitch to Chris Johnson. Now this Boise State defense coming alive, too, in the second half after that first drive by ECU.
Yeah, Reese featured the Patriots, and New England's going to have to earn it next week. Giants look pretty dominant in the fourth quarter against the Buffalo Bills today, and I wouldn't say that 16-0 record is a cinch for the Pats. Not yet.
Crowd sensing a big 3rd and 9. Brandon Simmons in at tailback. And never got the play off.
Delay of game. Offense. 5-yard penalty. 3rd down.
And you do sense that change of momentum in the last couple of possessions. Look at the numbers for Chris Johnson. 207 yards on the ground. And he's done it through the air as well.
That's an unbelievable figure. We're still in the 3rd quarter. Patrick Pinckney is a quarterback. You got to find that play clock coming out of the huddle. You can't take a 5-yarder on the 3rd and long.
So it's 3rd and longer. Pinckney fires it over the middle, but well short. Jamar Bryant just past the original line of scrimmage.
No, that's a big win for Boise State. You know, off the onside kick, Chris Peterson gets a great effort from his defense. That was quick change defense. Not a turnover, but a failed specialty play in the special teams department, and the defense responds.
Cadman back at his own 10, awaiting the punt of Matt Dodge. Well, you feel like you can take those gambles when your defense is performing.
Well, it's a bowl game.
And right at the line in the end zone. It's going to come out to the 20. Janine, little nod to the military personnel here from the ECU faithful.
That's right, Terry. You know, thanks to the generosity of East Carolina fans from around the country, 4,509 tickets to this game were donated to members of the military stationed here on the Hawaiian Islands. Now, the school worked with Conference USA and the U.S. Pacific Command to donate these seats to deserving military members who were away from home over the holidays. And I spoke to a couple of recipients of these free seats, and they said they couldn't think of a nicer gesture from their fellow countrymen to their servicemen and women in the military over this holiday season, and they said they were very, very touched by the generosity.
Well, and obviously a big military area here in Hawaii and in the eastern part of North Carolina with Cherry Point, New Bern, and Camp Lejeune, Seymour Johnson Air Force Base, and then Fayetteville and Fort Bragg. So certainly it fits.
Yeah, what was really moving was not only Conference USA's participation as we look out on the Arizona Memorial. What a pretty picture that is. And all the troops. My wife and I had a chance to sit down at dinner the other night with 6 servicemen and have dinner. And amazing to hear stories from Iraq.
Complete over the middle to Julian Hawkins, the junior from Long Beach.
Just to sit down at dinner, all 6 of them coming off tours in Iraq, and to hear the stories and the hardships that they have to go through, just where they sleep each night, 135 degrees at night. The temperature would hover 105 to 110 degrees. No way to even come close to articulating what it means to the citizens of the United States, the work that our troops are performing overseas,
and especially at the holiday time. We send out our best and our thoughts. Across the 30, there's a first down as Tharp dives for it past the marker. They'll move the chains, and it'll be 1st and 10 Boise State with some new life here on Oahu when we come back. 38-24. The Pirates doing most of their work in the first half, and now trying to stave off the offense of Chris Peterson and the Broncos. And this image just keeps getting prettier by the moment. Look at that. Pearl Harbor, and on the left of the Arizona, USS Missouri. With unbelievable history behind it. Surrender terms signed by the Japanese. Douglas MacArthur was there back World War II, and now prominently sits here at Pearl Harbor. Looks like a made-up postcard shop, doesn't it?
Stunning beauty here on the island of Oahu. You don't want to leave. Do you really have to leave?
Yeah, I think we do. They won't pay for us to stay. Tharp under pressure gets it away. Did the arm come forward? That's the question. They're scrambling as if it's a fumble, and I think it is. Zach Slate was the man who was all over Taylor Tharp. ECU reacting as if it's their football. And it is. Pirates get it back. Turnovers have played a large role this afternoon.
Coming off the right side of your picture, Slate, the defensive end, and Taylor Tharp. I mean, that's excusable if the hit's coming from the backside, but he's got Slate on his radar. He's within his vision. And that was not a very clean play with the football by Taylor Tharp.
And it is an official review. They'll take a look. And you saw Tharp coming into your picture, pointing up to the Jumbotron. He just saw the replay, and he thought he saw his arm come forward.
Well, if his arm was moving forward, it was because of the impact that Slate was delivering. I mean, Tharp, I think that was the left hand. Watch the left hand of Slate. He's going to get into the elbow, and that's before Tharp could move forward with the football in his right hand.
I mean, if you really want to get technical, the hand came forward with the ball in it, but the arm never came forward.
Well, and the ball was jarred loose by the hit on the right elbow of Tharp.
Well, he's going to plead his case nonetheless, and did so initially with the official. Take a look real time now.
Before the official review, you can see how tough it was for referees to make calls. I mean, that is tough to make that call with the naked eye. And I always love it when a referee holds on to the whistle on these plays, because if you blow the whistle, it's not going to be reviewable. Just go ahead and hold on to the whistle, and then let the officials upstairs in the booth make their review.
It's a different approach, different way of thinking as an official, and they've had to make that adjustment.
Well, in the NFL level, that's been a nice rule change, a new policy change over the last couple of years, where they've made a point of telling the referees don't blow quick whistles when it involves a fumble or an arm moving forward and a resulting incomplete pass at the pro level. And I think that Tharp was trying to save that throw. Tharp is not trying to throw the ball here. He's trying to save the throw. And Slate, a nice job of getting his left hand up and on the right elbow of Tharp. I think this fumble and the recovery by the Pirates is going to be upheld.
Looked like he just worked as hard as he could to get the ball up there to make it look like it was being released at least.
Well, and as a quarterback, when you see that defensive end coming from the front side, your decision-making capabilities have to be sharp. I mean, that is not a time in the football game, especially when you're down 14 points. You've climbed your way back into this thing. 2-touchdown game. That was a decision-making mistake by Tharp, even with Slate coming clean.
And remember when the momentum changed earlier in this game in the first half, Boise State went on a long drive quickly, spreading the offense and throwing on every down. They get a touchdown on the board, and on the next drive they're doing the same and they turn it over. Well, seemed like Chris Peterson's squad had some momentum right now until this.
Well, and you might ask, what could Taylor Tharp do in that situation better? Well, you have to know that when Slate's arriving, you have to have the ball secured. You have to either tuck it or get rid of the football, but you can't have the ball in that position.
After video review, the ruling on the field is reversed. The quarterback had the ball in possession and his arm was moving forward. Second down.
Interesting.
So much for our look.
Well, interesting. And now watch Slate's left hand and watch him get to the elbow. I think he gets to the elbow before the ball starts forward. And I still believe that.
Yeah, he did. I mean, the hand came forward with the ball in it, but the arm never came forward. And he hit it, he knocked it loose, but took a close look, and so they reversed that play, and now it's 2nd and 10. And instead of ECU having the football well inside Boise State territory, Taylor Tharp can go back to work behind his intended receiver, incomplete, Julian Hawkins. Would have been shy of a first down, but a pretty good gain nonetheless. Pierre Bell on the coverage.
Well, and you know, Terry, going back to that play, if Tharp is strong enough to play through that contact and to still get his arm moving forward, then that is a tough call. And the officiating crews have been good, and I'm not saying on that particular call that they got it wrong. That was a tough interpretation to make.
Boise State, one of the best in the nation on 3rd down, 52% throughout the year, just 2 of 7 today, though. This one right at the first down marker. The catch is made. We'll see where they mark it. Titus Young on the catch.
That was an impressive throw by Tharp, and Titus Young had to come back to the football to take the angle away. And if they're short here, Chris Peterson, the way he's handled these situations in the past, I think they will go on 4th down. Especially, Terry, with not a lot to lose in a bowl game. I mean, if you're in the Fiesta Bowl a year ago and you're running Statue of Liberties and halfback passes with the game on the line at the end of the Fiesta Bowl, you're certainly going to go 4th and short here.
It's all academic because he got the first down. It's one of the things you know going into a game against Boise State, that they'll take chances. They'll do a number of different things offensively to give you different looks.
Young, a nice job of driving the defender off, coming back, taking the angle away. And it's not the position of the feet, it's the position of the football. I thought that was a pretty nice spot by this officiating crew.
Ian Johnson now back in at tailback, and wide open is Austin Pettis. Close to the 30 goes the freshman from Anaheim. No one near him.
Now Tharp, they have to play the quarterback position with courage. Watch a defender come free on the right side, still is able to take a little bit off that ball. He's got a wide open Pettis on the crossing route, and so what do? You take a little bit off the football, you lead him comfortably across the field. Nice play by the senior quarterback.
Gain of 29. Sherm Blodger goes in motion, the tight end. They fake it to Ian Johnson, and this one's thrown up and it's picked off. J.J. Millbrook with the interception. Ill-advised pass by Taylor Tharp. Third interception of the season for J.J. Millbrook.
And Quentin Cotton, number 50, beating Putnam inside. And Tharp, you know, he knew he was going to take some heat from the coaching staff if he came to the sideline and took a big sack in that situation. But he compounded the problem by trying to get the ball off. And it was the same mistake he made early on in the Hawaii game after a big drive by the Broncos. A BCS berth probably on the line, and he made that same play a few weeks back here in the islands against Hawaii.
So it looked like they had the ball a moment ago, and now they do.
Big mistake.
Pinckney, play action, underthrows. Steven Rogers brings up second down. Didn't give all the tickets away to the military personnel. A number of folks from Greenville here. Boise State, look at that. 3 turnovers, and they're all big.
Tharp's put in a position here where he needs his defense again to come up big and stop East Carolina with field position in the positive section of the field.
From the gun, plenty of time. Thrown at the 42, and that's complete to Steven Rogers this time. Now you can help decide the Pontiac game-changing performance of the year. Go to ESPN.com, search Pontiac to determine which school will win the $100,000 General Scholarship Fund contribution courtesy of Pontiac. And either App State with a blocked field goal helped seal the deal against Michigan. Auburn's winning field goal. Alabama touchdown the closing seconds against Arkansas. Trinity with the multiple laterals against Millside.
Can I go off the board?
No,
that's
you're not allowed.
Stanford 4th down pass against USC. That was a big game-changing moment.
You can't vote for that. But
all right.
Thanks for the mention.
Just asking.
Broken up. Good play over the middle. Kyle Game got his hand in at the last moment. That'll bring up 4th and 4.
Now the Broncos had been on roller skates defensively. East Carolina moving the ball at will. This defense has turned things around here in the second half, and they have turned the Pirates away on 2 consecutive drives when Skip Holtz's offense had taken over in Bronco territory.
Yeah, it seems like the defense has figured out the ECU offense a little bit, but they have not been able to be consistent themselves on offense. Here's Dodge going to run it. They're going to keep it. Drill right at the marker.
I think he picked it up.
Right at the 37 where the first down marker is, and it looks like they are going to spot a just pass. We'll see. Jerron Johnson came over just to pound it. And that's good enough for the first down. They celebrate over on the ECU sideline. So Dodge, the punter, able to just get there.
Matt Dodge had an option on this play. If he didn't see some daylight up the sideline, he would have gone ahead and punted the football. I think, you know, that's part of their game plan on special teams. He's supposed to check the perimeter there, and if there's an opening, he has the freedom to take it, and he took it.
From Morehead City, North Carolina. Chris Johnson has a hole and utilizes that down to the 32. It's one of those advantages, though, of that running style rugby punt. You can take a look and see if you've maybe got a lane.
Well, it ain't pretty. You know, you watch those rugby style punts and they don't look very pretty in the air. But I'll tell you what, they're pretty good punts when you're trying to down the ball inside the 20 or inside the 10. And they do give you that option of an athletic punter when he gets outside going ahead and just taking it. And Dodge showed some courage, lowering the head, picking up the first down.
Out of the eye now. Johnson jumps out. So look at the athleticism. Chris Johnson with a late flag coming in at the 24.
Boy, he is lightning. Sometimes he doesn't get the ball necessarily north and south, but as we saw early in the football game, Boise State was able.
Number 45 of the offense. 10-yard penalty. Second down will be repeated.
Boise State was able to understand just what type of speed Johnson has.
See if we can pick up the hold.
Kevin Guidry right there, the fullback.
Number 45. And then, as a player often does, he shows both hands to let him know that the hold did not occur.
Which would draw a flag immediately if I were the official. No one more guilty than the guy putting up his hand saying I didn't hold him. But 2nd and 13 now. They almost lost it. Pinkney slips through but then goes down. Ryan Winterswike, the redshirt freshman in defensive end, and really a great story too. A guy worked his way from being a walk-on all the way up as a safety.
And the fumble pretty much took care of any play action. You're not going to be able to come out clean on that bootleg if you don't handle the ball properly and get the good sell. And Winterswike has really done a nice job for Boise State, especially late in the season. Had a solid game against Hawaii. Really a 3 defensive end rotation for the Broncos.
You think about that too, working as a walk-on and you're a safety, not only up to a linebacker spot but all the way to the defensive line. Pinkney just downs it. Good coverage downfield, nowhere to go.
Yeah, the Pirates are trying to set up a screen, and when that screen gets negated on the outside, it was read perfectly by the Broncos. Great recognition. You know, the quarterback can't throw the ball down the field or he risks a penalty. Pinkney had to abort.
So they're not able to take advantage of Dodge making that decision to run for it on 4th down. Tadman back at his own 10. Skandrick had a chance, but stepped up. And this one will be brought back out to the 20. Punt of 47 yards. No return. And the Broncos take over. Time to go back to work for Tharp next. Back here in Honolulu, it's snowing in Hawaii on the water. Unbelievable. A couple of days until Christmas, and East Carolina trying to get a bowl victory over Boise State. Terry Gannon back with David Norrie. But given the history of Boise State, don't you have a sense that this will be a game that goes to the end?
And we've seen it happen so many times. You know, nail biters. The offense for Boise State certainly more than capable of putting together drives, and you know, East Carolina has had a couple opportunities to deliver a knockout punch. The Pirates have not been able to put those drives together. Boise State's defense has, you know, really responded, and they've gotten Taylor Tharp out of some tough positions here. If Boise State can put a touchdown drive together, I think we're going to have a great ball game down to the wire.
Interesting game too, because early on you had the long run back, the kickoff return for a touchdown, 89 yards for Boise State. They go on top 7-3. East Carolina dominates from that point the rest of the first half. A record-setting day for Chris Johnson, who's gone over 200 yards this afternoon. And I have a feeling a lot more to take place in the last 10:47 and counting. Avery, who's in for Ian Johnson. Big run out to midfield and then some. So we saw Ian Johnson come back in on the last series. Been out most of the game with that injured ankle, but here's the guy who is set to take over anyway the next couple of seasons at least, the redshirt freshman Avery, and here comes Johnson again.
Well, the East Carolina defense has done a great job of making Boise State one-dimensional in this game. Yeah, Boise State, by their stripes, they want to line up, they want to bully the ball, they want to do everything off their run game, but the Pirates have been very tough against the Broncos on the ground.
Ian Johnson got 1 carry in the first half for 1 yard and a solid gain this time on first down to the 42. Here's a guy who gained over 1,000 yards once again this season. So 75 yards on the ground for Boise State today. They average 192.
East Carolina defensively came into this game saying that, you know, it was a must. We've got to get an extra defender up on the line of scrimmage. We cannot allow Boise State to control things on the ground.
Little dump over the middle, complete the Pettis, spins away, then get another first down. Flag back though, where Tharp threw the football, maybe roughing the passer, we'll see.
Yeah, this could be the true freshman, Linval Joseph.
Personal foul, roughing the passer. In the 97 defense. 15 yards, way out to the end of the run. First down.
Wow, big play. There's Joseph. all 344 pounds of him.
Yeah, he's had a heck of a year, the true freshman. He is going to be a dominant player in Conference USA for the next 3 years, and pleading his case on the sideline. He was dinged up this week. Normally the starter at that inside defensive tackle position. Mark Robinson got the start.
Blake Mitchell also banged up, but is playing today. Quick pitch to Johnson. Looks for a hole. Patient runner down to about the 16. Johnson with those 1,030 yards on the season. And the IBM 25 greatest players in college football history. Herschel Walker, number 3. You got the other two, the top two, announced on New Year's Day. Number 2 will be at the Capital One Bowl. Number 1, the Rose Bowl, presented by Citi.
Herschel was pretty good, wasn't he?
You think?
Now you see Tim Tebow win the Heisman as a sophomore, and Herschel Walker really should have won the Heisman as a freshman. Back then they said you couldn't win it as a freshman. That was the only thing that kept him from picking up the trophy.
Yeah, DJ Harper on the carry. Tough running right at the line of scrimmage, though, and we go down to Janine.
Well, Terry, you and David both have mentioned Skip Holtz talking about the focus of his team here, East Carolina. I'm on the sideline, and you remember him telling us that last year they went to the bowl game. He didn't really think they had the right focus. They were just happy to be there. Well, now today, the focus these guys have is amazing. I mean, even the special teams players are here on the sideline. They're chanting defense, defense, defense. It's the first time I've seen them do that all game. And also, defensive coordinator Greg Hudson was telling his guys before this play that he wants them to stay focused. No celebrating. We got work to do.
Yeah, after that, the loss in the PapaJohns.com Bowl in South Florida last year, said he learned some things from that bowl. Not that Skip Holtz hasn't been through it before, though. Pettis with the catch inside, down to the 10 or so. Almost spun away. So Pettis active in this second half along with Taylor Tharp.
Well, I like Taylor Tharp's toughness, and he's made a couple mistakes in this game, the interception, but it wasn't for a lack of effort. And to come in as a fifth-year senior, it's so surprising, Terry, to look and you prepare for this game and you realize the only quarterback to ever start as a senior for Boise State and get his first year as a starter as a senior in their history.
I know, it's amazing. Bring out the chains. Pettis, by the way, 9 catches for 88 yards in the game, having a huge afternoon. And they do. It's 1st and goal, Boise State.
Pettis has such great hands, and we talked about it earlier. Became such a big factor late down the stretch for Boise State, and hard to believe that Boise State can get this type of work done in the pass game without a Jeremy Childs, who was forced to stay home with the suspension.
1st and goal just inside the 10. Gonna run it. Titus Young, can he get to the corner? Cuts back to the 1. It'll be 2nd and goal from the 1-yard line. You get to that area, the 10-yard line or so, with this offense and with this coordinator, you don't know what you're going to get.
Yeah, it's a main staple. All the different sets, the motions, they try to outnumber you. They create mismatches with their versatility at fullback and tight end, and Putnam a nice job leading with his block.
At the goal line, touchdown, DJ Harper. Spun his way to 6. The freshman from Cypress, Texas. And you just somehow knew that this was going to be a game at the end.
Yes, you did. And too many years of watching the WAC conference.
Officials timeout. The preceding play is under review.
And it goes all the way back when BYU played in the conference, and 2 or 3 touchdown lead, never safe, especially against a team like Boise State. I mean, Boise State's averaged over 40 points a game for the last 6 years.
See if his knee was down. That's what they're taking a look at. DJ Harper.
That might be short of the goal line.
Yeah, that right knee may have gotten there. Let's see.
And if that knee touched, I don't think the ball had broken the plane.
I don't think it touched, though.
Couldn't see from that angle. Boy, it sure looked like it might have brushed the turf, and if it did, he was short. A lot of confidence shown by Boise State to put a true freshman in the backfield.
Is it conclusive, though? Would you overturn a call on that?
Let's take one more look from this angle. I don't think you can see it touch the ground there. He gets awfully close, but you know what? The knee didn't touch the ground.
It's not enough to overturn it.
No, that's a touchdown.
Although, different play, different type play, but the fumble that wasn't a fumble earlier today certainly looked like it was not. The arm was not coming forward.
What a stable of backs Boise State has. I mean, Ian Johnson, I don't think he comes out early. You know, Ian Johnson's forecasted right now as a running back that wouldn't be a first-day selection. A lot of the insiders say. And you've got some young backs like Jeremy Avery, a redshirt freshman, DJ Harper, just scored the touchdown, a true freshman, and a guy by the name of Doug Martin, who's sitting out this year, a true freshman who's redshirting this year, who's a tremendous talent. Boise State is loaded at the tailback position for years to come.
Avery with 65 yards on 9 carries. Here in the game today, 3 catches for almost 30 yards as well. Got in the end zone. But if you're Ian Johnson, and especially not getting a chance to play today and show what you got, not that they don't know already, but I don't think, doesn't seem like a sound decision to come out. But January 15th is that deadline when you have to declare.
Well, I think the decision comes down to where do the experts in the NFL. Ian Johnson has already asked for the NFL to give him their thoughts in deciding whether he's going to come out in the draft. But you got to try to evaluate where you might go, try to predict, and then you also try to figure out, Terry, if I come back for another year, do I improve my standing? Do I move up? Because there are millions of dollars at stake if you make the wrong decision or the right decision.
Taking a long time reviewing this, and finally we're going to get a ruling.
After video review, the ruling on the field stands. Touchdown.
So the 6th rushing touchdown of the season for DJ Harper. And there's the drive, 4 minutes taken off the clock. And Boise State right back into it.
For the first time in this football game, the Pirates are going to have some pressure offensively to put a drive together. They've been leading this game comfortably.
Wattsman, a bit of a high snap, good hold. Tanya Bissell, the holder, got it down and up and good. Chris Peterson's squad back into it, down by just a touchdown, plenty of time.
ESPN College Football, the Sheridan Hawaii Bowl.
A very hot Boise State offense in the second half. Taylor Tharp and the guys getting it done. Down by just a touchdown now here. The Sheridan Hawaii Bowl. 7:09 left as Chris Johnson and Dwayne Harris are back deep for the Pirates. And you're right, David. They will be tested. A little pressure on them to move the football, turn things around in the second half. Nowhere near as effective as they were in the first half of football.
The difference has been Boise State's defense, especially against the run. 264 yards for the Pirates in the first half, but the Broncos have shut down the run game for the Pirates here in the second.
Johnson from inside his own 10. Gets by one. Jumps over another. And out of bounds up at the 47. How many times are we going to see the returns like that?
Well, and you look at East Carolina here in the second half. They've had great starting position. The rushing yards tell a real story. East Carolina 264 in the first half. The Broncos have been able to solve that offensive front for Skip Holtz. And I think we're going to see Cass here. And for good reason. I think you need to change things up here. If the run isn't working, to try to move the chains, Terry Gannon through the air.
So Pinckney's played the entire game, which is not the way they've gone throughout the season, but Cass comes on for the first time, hands it off. Chris Johnson dumped behind the line of scrimmage by Kyle Wilson. And Chris Johnson still on the turf and now finally getting up.
He got chopped down on the outside, and you know, with less than 6 minutes to go, actually less than 7 minutes to go in this football game, very tough decision to bring Rob Cass in off the bench cold. That's a heck of a tackle on the outside by a cornerback that has a very bright future for the Broncos. Kyle Wilson, Orlando Scandrick, both due to be back in the secondary a year from now.
Cass comes out wide. Dwayne Harris takes the direct snap. They run it with him across midfield to the 47 of Boise State. Kyle Ging on the hit there, so it brings up third down.
And Dwayne Harris is a multi-threat athlete. They like to use him in the slot. Gives on the wide receiver runs. Throughout the year, they've utilized that direct snap. Tough situation here for Rob Cass. Third down. And you don't convert. Taylor Tharp due to take over again.
Pinckney did a terrific job in the first half. The offense is stalled here in the second a bit. Cass with the strong arm and a pocket quarterback. Out of the gun, under pressure, quickly, incomplete, and the pressure did that. Had to unload it right away.
Well, he was looking for Jamar Bryant, a wide receiver who has been the wideout with the most plays throughout the season for East Carolina. Scandrick closing, and you could tell Rob Cass, cold coming off the bench, put a couple too many revolutions on that ball, and Boise State's going to take over.
Darrell Acree was the man who was just flying that pass. This one bounces right at the goal line and into the end zone. So Dodge just about a yard too long with that. And it will be Boise State football at the 20, first and 10 for Chris Peterson and the guys next. Busy scene in Honolulu, Waikiki, as a matter of fact. That tree right there at the Royal Hawaiian Hotel. It's not David Norrie's tree in his hotel room, but very much like it. 38-31, key drive here, fourth quarter. Boise State with a chance. And along the right side, Avery, after a gain of maybe 2, hit hard by Quentin Cotton and Fred Wilson.
The story of this Boise State program offensively has been well centered with the play of the offensive line. An offensive line that was a big story a year ago in the perfect season. 4 returning starters. Really a shame that Tad Miller, the left guard, had to go down in that Hawaii game. And you look at Ryan Clady, the All-American on the left side. He's going to be making a determination of whether he's headed to the draft.
Under pressure again, and again the arm comes forward for Tharp. Quentin Cotton, the man who made the hit on the last play, was all over Taylor.
Now and again, Taylor Tharp realizing he's going to be sacked, and again a half-hearted effort to get away with an incomplete pass.
But this one was definitely going in the right direction.
Well, and the ball ended up headed backwards, but I think that was due to a deflection by Cotton. But again, Tharp putting himself in a tough position by having the ball exposed as the defender arrives in the pocket.
So with under 5 minutes, a big third down coming up for the Bronco offense. Tharp throws over the middle and just does get it in there. Complete for a first down. Julian Hawkins, and that ball could have been picked off.
Tharp, nice job of sitting in the pocket, and we look at the tail of the tape here in the second half. Boise State starting to move the ball effectively. The touchdown on the swing pass to Avery. DJ Harper getting the Broncos a step closer with his touchdown.
Tharp hit hard just as he lets this one go and throws it 3 rows deep.
East Carolina is turning loose with their blitz package. They're starting to heat Tharp up. And Quentin Cotton, number 50, has been involved in a bunch of linebacker blitzes here in the second half. He's coming on almost every snap. Greg Hudson, the defensive coordinator for East Carolina, is going to continue to bring number 50 until you can solve the problem.
Under center now. Play action, little shoulder pass to Avery, who's got room, he's got a first down to the 48, and a big play for Boise State.
Well, how nifty is this Boise State offense? Brian Harsin at the controls. You know, we love to harken back to that Fiesta Bowl game against Oklahoma. 4th down in that game, the game on the line. Harsin keeps Jared Zabransky on the bench. Little specialty plays like that deep pocket shovel pass.
Gain of 15, knocked the helmet of Van Eskridge off as he made the tackle. Titus Young looked for room after the catch, downed at the 45, about 3 yards shy of another first down. So Boise State moving the chains, moving the football, sustaining a drive, 4-minute mark.
Coach Harsin, Coach Peterson electing to go to a no-huddle attack in the first half. Really got Taylor Tharp off well, and they're continuing to use it here in the 4th quarter.
Plenty of time this time for Tharp. He connects with Young. There's another first down to the 35.
I think this no-huddle takes a little starch out of the East Carolina defense, especially their pass rush up front. You can see Pierre Bell looks like he's dinged. That might be a left hamstring. But from play to play, Terry, they're not allowing East Carolina to change things up with the blitz package because they're keeping things rolling with the no huddle. Not allowing the Pirates to get in and out with their substitutions.
Maybe a cramp for Pierre Bell there. They're working on him. And another reminder, Monday Night Football on ESPN, 8 Eastern time. Broncos and Chargers. Chargers looking for their 5th straight win. They beat the Broncos in Denver back at the beginning of October. All kicks off at 6:30 Eastern with Monday Night Countdown, including Miley Cyrus, Hannah Montana, and the opening of that show. Well, talked about the activities throughout the week. Yesterday, both of these teams had a chance to visit kids and their families at the Shriners Hospital for Children here in Honolulu.
Terry, isn't the story these days, all you hear in the papers and the media, all the negative stories about what college athletes do? Look at these players for East Carolina and Boise State brightening the days of children at the hospital. I mean, so many of the good things don't get publicized. It's a great story to see some of these college athletes are willing to do.
Speaking of great stories, Ian Johnson was one last year in the bowl game. This hasn't been quite the same day. Runs right into the line of scrimmage and down there. And one of the heroes from that win in the Tostitos Fiesta Bowl over Oklahoma, and then proposing the back of the and even better than that, she said yes. Imagine if she had said no.
That would have been an uncomfortable moment. That picture etched into our minds, and the 2-point conversion as he crossed the goal line and threw the ball into the stands. I don't think I'll ever forget that one.
9th play of the drive. Tharp had time, doesn't now. Scrambles to the 28. Got to get to the 25 for a first down.
Well, I love the toughness as the rain starts to come down a bit. Looks like we got a little light rain.
You get that mist here on the islands.
But Taylor Tharp, his toughness, and he has made some nice decisions. I like him there tucking the football and creating a manageable 3rd down situation. Game on the line.
You ask, Larry Cavallina, our director, gives that to you. Shot of the rain coming down. Very like that. 3rd and 4. Drilled, but a first down. He held on. Julian Hawkins somehow, some way, able to hold on to the football.
Well, Hawkins has done a nice job, and again, the offensive line giving Tharp some time. But Hawkins has done a nice job, and the Broncos needed wide receivers to step up. Childs out. Peretta went down the 4th game of the season.
Man, Nick Johnson, sophomore linebacker, just laid it on Julian Hawkins. He got up and right back to the huddle. 1st and 10. Tharp throws back the other way. Young dumped after a gain of 1.
And this is about the time in the game where you've got to get your radar up in terms of trick plays from the Broncos. The Broncos go ahead and they use that. Are they going to use a timeout here?
Yes.
They do. Well, 2 minutes to go. be a little bit early to spend that timeout. You don't want to leave much time, Terry, for East Carolina, and you're planning on scoring here, but you don't want to leave time on the clock for the Pirates. Might be a little early to spend that timeout.
Bowl week well underway, and don't forget about the Rose Bowl presented by Citi from Pasadena. Brent Musburger gives us a little preview right now. Fighting their way to get to that spot. You and I had USC a number of times. They may be as good as anybody right now.
They could be in the national title game just as easily as LSU, believe me, and they better not go to sleep on Juice Williams, Rashard Mendenhall, Aurelius Ben.
Under the 2-minute mark, 2nd and 9. Here comes Slate trying to get there on the edge. Tharp throws through the hands, and Ian Johnson never left his feet. Never jumped. So it's 3rd and 9.
Well, as a play caller, Brian Harsin is one of the best at the college level. You're thinking 2 plays here. You want to give Tharp the opportunity to pick up the first down, but you don't have to be greedy. You can hit a ball short of the chains here. You just don't want to be facing a 4th and 9.
Got those 2 timeouts left with 1:52. 13th play of the drive. Hawkins in motion. Here come the Pirates trying to get to Tharp. Young at the 20, lost the football. Pirates have it. ECU comes up with another one. And now a late flag at the 35. But it's East Carolina football.
After the play was over, unsportsmanlike conduct. Number 54 of the offense, 15-yard penalty, first down.
Skip Holtz, fine with that.
And for the 2nd time in this game, Titus Young not securing the football. The Broncos would have been looking at about a 4th and 5, maybe a 4th and 6, but it was inexcusable. Young, even as a true freshman, you're deep into the season. You're in the 13th game of the season, and twice he's put the ball on the ground. Boise State has 2 timeouts, Terry Gannon, so there's still time for Boise State to take over. If they can stop East Carolina here, there will still be more than a minute on the clock. They use their timeouts wisely.
Jeremy Chambliss came up with that big hit, then fell on the football. Johnson, if he could have gotten through that, there was no one in the secondary, but he keeps it on the ground out to the 45, and Boise State's going to burn another timeout. The 4 turnovers, that tells the story. Most by a Boise State team in a bowl game. As the wind has picked up, the rain has done the same. And they're hanging onto their hats here in Aloha Stadium.
Boise State has a lot of pride in the way they handle the football, and Titus Young, you got to give Skip Holtz's defense some credit. They've been getting to the football. They've been getting their helmets and their hands on the football. It was a heck of a strip on the play against Titus Young. Young doing his best to pick up the first down, but a minute 39 to go. Boise State with 1 timeout left, a 2nd and 5. Now Boise State has to play exclusively against the run here. Dare East Carolina to put the ball up in the air.
Some confusion offensively, getting the right people on the field and the right numbers, so ECU takes a timeout. Skip Holtz just perhaps a minute 39 away from a win here in a bowl game. NFL playoffs. Take it down, run down those. Clements defending himself. We heard about that at the break from Reese Davis, and Kobe making NBA history. SportsCenter comes your way as soon as we are done here in Honolulu.
Kurt Schilling coming out and saying if Clemens isn't able to clear his name, that Clemens should give back a couple Cy Youngs. Pretty amazing stuff going on in the world of baseball, but here with a minute 39 to go, you have to dare East Carolina to put the ball up. You got to get numbers up on the line of scrimmage. And again, Boise State, if they can make a stop here, They're going to have just over a minute, maybe a little under a minute left if they can force a punt. So this is very much still a game.
Pass under center. Johnson cuts back. Ball is loose. Boise State's got the football. Tadman up with it. Bringing it back. He may go all the way. How about this? Touchdown Boise State. Can you believe that? Seconds ago, there were smiles on the ECU sideline, and perhaps a little bit premature, thinking that they had the football, they may have had a bowl game. And now Chris Johnson, well, just shaking his head. Minute 25, though, get a chance. Marty Tadman coming up with the fumble and taking it back. And we are all tied at 38.
Well, number 23, Jerron Johnson, does a great job of turning the ball up inside, and then watch Orlando Scandrick, number 8. He's going to put his helmet right on the football. And Marty Tadman, a terrific athlete, plays it on the bounce perfectly, picks it up in full stride. How about the hit by Scandrick? And Jerron Johnson did a great job getting up the field, creating a hard edge, forcing Johnson to turn the ball back inside. How about that, Terry Gannon, for some more Boise State magic?
It's not a hook and lateral this time. It's not a Statue of Liberty. It's the defense.
You gotta be kidding.
And what a difference on that ECU sideline now. I mean, they had complete control of this football game.
That was a second down play. That was a 2nd and 5. And Johnson pretty darn close to the first down markers. Chris Peterson, a never say die coach.
But remember, Johnson back deep, waiting to return, and he's had an incredible day to this point. He and Harris awaiting a line drive kick. It will be Chris Johnson at his own 10. Bringing it back across the 30, still up, powering his way, almost broke through up at the 39. So we'll have a minute 16 and 2 timeouts. And remember what they've done all season long. This is a team, most of their drives have been just over a minute. Minute 47, that's been their average.
45 touchdown drives on the year for the Pirates, and I think we've had many opportunities this afternoon and into the night to see the big play potential. And it looks like the Pirates are going to go with Rob Cass, big 6'4", 250-pound drop back passer. And he is coming into the game fairly cold. Had limited action here in the 4th quarter. Let's see what kind of drive he can put together.
Inside give. Dominique Lindsay, who scored 2 touchdowns earlier in this one, gets across the 40. Stopped at the 42. Cass hurries it up. Gets team back to the line of scrimmage.
Well, the Broncos are locking up man-to-man on the outside. Orlando Scandrick, Kyle Wilson. And they are getting an extra safety up in the line of scrimmage, making things very tough on the Pirates.
Under a minute, 2nd and 8. Cass rifles one, too high for the intended receiver, Steven Rogers, and a hard hit by Kyle Wilson.
That isn't unusual for a quarterback to come in the game and be a little bit juiced up, come off the bench cold. And Rob Cass has had the ball sail on him a bit. He's putting a little bit too much on the football. You get in a situation like this where you get the adrenaline pumping, you want to back off the accelerator. You're talking about revolutions on the football.
Four receiver set. Johnson alone set back. Cass rifles it up. complete to Bryant. Inside the 30, brought down at the 25. You've got a field goal kicker in Ben Hartman, whose long this year is from 52 yards.
That was an NFL-type throw down the sideline. I mean, this is an impressive throw by Rob Cass with the football game on the line. And how about the route by Jamar Bryant? Finding that little void down the left sideline. Cass delivered it on a line.
And there is Hartman getting set, the sophomore from Winston-Salem. And they're going to review something on that play.
Boise State with only one timeout. They don't have many options in terms of using that timeout. That is a devastating play.
Might be reviewing
for the Broncos.
David, whether or not, he stepped out of bounds at some point before, or perhaps whether he was out of bounds prior to the reception. We'll see.
If the wide receiver goes out of bounds under his own election or his own power, you can't come back inbounds and be the first athlete to touch the football for East Carolina. Let's take a look again and see if we can pick it up. Let's slow it down here. Why don't you freeze it right there? You see at the bottom of the screen, Jamar Bryant.
You see the coach is pointing to that spot, but doesn't necessarily mean it'll happen.
The receiver was pushed out of bounds and then came back in to catch the pass. This is not a reviewable situation.
All right, since he was pushed out, so there you have the explanation.
The receiver has to go out of bounds under his own power. Let's see one more time, working up the sideline. Working against Kyle Wilson, and it's a little bit somewhat debatable as to whether Wilson's chuck there forced him out of bounds.
Don't want to give one away here, though. With 23 and counting. Going to keep it inside the 20 down to the 17. So setting up that field goal with 15 seconds. And Skip Holtz is going to call another timeout.
Well, it's interesting. 15 seconds on the clock. I'm not sure Skip Holtz is going to march Ben Hartman on the field here. I don't think you want 15 seconds left on the clock, especially with Boise State able to get a big return. A lot of things can happen, you know, in the 10 or 11 seconds that would be left on the clock. And with the down markers showing second down right now, and Boise State left with only one timeout, I think that you'll see the Pirates continue to run plays here and try to get that game clock down in the 3 to 4 second range. Kick the field goal and run into the locker room.
Sports Center comes your way next as soon as we are done. And we could be done in 15 seconds of game time, or we could go to OT.
What a pass by Rob Cass down the sideline to set up a potential game-winning field goal attempt.
Cass is going to keep it, just set it up in the middle of the field, right there at the line of scrimmage. 11 seconds left, and it will be Ben Hartman coming on for a try.
Chris Peterson electing to hold on to the timeout. Only 6 1/2 dozen or the other on that decision.
East Carolina, their third and final of the game.
But Boise State with that one left, as mentioned.
You really have to give Skip Holtz a lot of credit to go the entire way with Patrick Pinckney. Cass was the starter down the stretch for East Carolina, and they bring Pinckney in the second or third possession, and oftentimes they go with the hot hand, but Cass really was on fire in the first half of the finale against Tulane. 9 for 11 in the first half.
Little
Skip
kiss.
Holtz blowing a Hawaiian kiss. But Rob Cass coming in and making a play that really could help decide this game.
12-21 on the year. They put it down just inside the 25. Call it a 34-yarder for Hartman. Yep, and he's going to ice the kicker.
Timeout. Boise State, their third and final of the game.
So right before they could get the snap off, the final timeout taken by Boise State.
We hear so much from our fellow announcers, ESPN, ABC, Terry, about how they dislike this rule. Coaches icing the kickers at the last moment. But really, this situation was brought on by the change in rules where timeouts could be called from the sideline a few years back, both in the NFL and college. And I think when that rule changed, that coaches could call timeouts from the sideline instead of a player on the field, the rule committees weren't really aware. They didn't have the foresight to look ahead and understand that coaches would use the timeout so liberally in these end of the game field goal attempt situations.
Peterson trying to ice the kicker. Skip Holtz trying to break the ice with his kicker. Hartman from 34 yards for the game. And good. And Skip Holtz can truly smile at this point. The East Carolina Pirates coming in at 7-5, almost getting it done in Conference USA, but coming up short against an explosive offense. Heavily favored Boise State, but it's the Pirates winning here in the Sheridan Hawaii Bowl in 2007. Take a look at the game winner.
Well, some penetration by the Broncos, but Hartman hit it cleanly. Not a lot of doubt. A pretty solid job by Sloan to get that hold down. A lot of Pirates immediately headed for the locker room,
including Hartman leading the way as we send it down to Janine.
Well, I'm here with Coach Skip Holtz. Coach, some of your seniors had gone through those seasons where they were 1-10, 2-9. What does this win mean to them?
This is huge, especially to come back and have the opportunity to win it the way we wanted. And, you know, to have the great first half that we did. And Boise State's a great team, and Coach Peterson, and I give them an awful lot of credit and respect for what they've built in Boise State. But I tell you, the way they came back, we just couldn't get anything going there in the second half from an offensive standpoint. And then for us to give the game away on a fumble like that, and ironically, it's the first fumble of the year Chris Johnson has had, the first one of the season. And I told him, I said, hey, don't you hang your head. This just gives us a chance to win it on offense since we hadn't played very well in the second half. And really proud of Ben Hartman. He hadn't had a stellar year, you know, getting the ball down inside. But, boy, he's been clutch in a couple games, North Carolina in a game winner, and then here tonight. What a great win for the program.
Well, you said when you went into last year's bowl game that you didn't think the focus was there. What was different about the approach of your players this week?
I think it was the players. I mean, I think they understand that our goal was not just to get here. We wanted to build on what we did last year. Mike Golden said to me during the workout period, he said, these guys are focused on the game. There's no nonsense. There's no messing around. We got here yesterday. I got on them hard the first day of practice. I got on them hard last night thinking they really needed to be brought back in line after a week in Hawaii, and they're as focused. There wasn't a peep at pregame meal. They were, I thought I over-prepared them, to be honest with you.
No, you did the job just right. Congratulations, Coach.
Thank you. Proud of these players.
All right, Janine, thank you. Even the state trooper doing a little dance with Skip Holtz at the end of that one. Chris Johnson, no question about it, the Capital One player of the game, despite the fumble. Look at what he did tonight. I mean, it's incredible. 233 yards on the ground. He had 3 catches for 32 yards and a touchdown reception as well, and 153 yards in kick returns. So, David Norrie and Janine Edwards, our entire ESPN crew. I'm Terry again, and went down to the wire, 41-38. This has been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports. Aloha from Honolulu.